Looking for the best astrology guidance? You can enjoy an entire month of personalized astrology services for just $3.99. At Serious Joy, we pride ourselves on providing astrology enthusiasts with exactly what they're looking for. Daily personalized inspiration that speaks directly to the heart. Sign up today and you'll receive personalized messages straight to your phone 7 days a week. And that's just half of it. You'll also get access to our exclusive members-only site with tons of amazing features. Experience the most accurate astrology service on the web at SeriousJoy.com.
Hello and welcome to Friday. It is Freaky Friday. It is a fun Friday. It's a Friday in Aquarius. Welcome to Namaste Today Live, my friends. I am your host, Sensei Christopher Witecki, here to be your cosmic guide and personal coach to your ascension, your happiness, and what we call here serious joy. This is a live show, you know. We are streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and X, formerly known as Twitter. If you are in the super chat, please tell us where you are watching from and say hello to our community. And I'll do the same right now. So good to see some of our super friends here. Hello, Neptune Girl. Hello, Cat Rider. Hello, Rebecca Delaney watching. I don't see that. Hello, Sandra O'Connor. Nice to see you. One of our knights in shining armor. Michelle Bell. It wouldn't be a Friday without you, Michelle. Iggy, we love you, brother. Our Aquarius friend, Nikki in Utah. Sherry coming from I didn't see where. Jill Louise, always a pleasure, my dear. And hello to Virginia, with Patricia being their representative. Adam Turner in the house. Wow. We have the whole staff represented this week. I'm super grateful for everyone who is here with us. Thanks for tuning in live. This is not just a show about astrology. This is a moment to get together and unite the light. And we are having an amazing week ahead. I think we're going to see some transformation like we've never seen before. It's already begun. This week in our show, we'll talk about Uranus stationing direct, jolting the energy to ascend. That happens in the next 24 hours. Mars is squaring the nodes, forcing a deal to be made or relationship to be closed. And Mercury sextiles Neptune, forever putting an end to Groundhog Day as a syndrome. And later tonight on Astro Mingle, Astro Cartographer, author, and locational astrologer Helena Woods is here to reveal secrets on how Mother Earth and astrology come together to bring the best and challenge you anywhere on Earth. I can't wait to talk to her about this. It's going to be a great Astro Mingle. But before we dive into all this gooey astrology goodness, let's take a look at the week's moods and your zodiac weather. Zodiac weather is from Saturday, January 27th to Friday, February 2nd, 2024. Looking ahead at the weekend forecast. Over the weekend, steps 7 and 8 means you are wrapping up and coming to a commitment of your frequency, and there are many, many aspects. Let's drill down. On Saturday, it's sunny and flying. Step 7 means Neptune rules the day. So this is where you are spiritually learning why it's time to ascend to a new vibe and to commit to a leap of faith. But there's a lot going on in the planets. The Sun squares Jupiter. Uranus stations direct. Mercury conjoins Mars, and Venus squares the nodes. In simple terms, life changes dramatically on Saturn Day with the moon in Leo. On Sunday, it's sunny and potent. Step 8 means Saturn rules the day. As the moon moves from Leo to Virgo, you are committing to your new vibration on the inside and opening up to acting and manifesting what you want. And again, there are many transits. Venus sextiles Saturn. Mars squares the North Node. Mercury trines Uranus, and Venus trines Jupiter. Then looking ahead to the 5-day weekday forecast, over the next week ahead, you commit to this new inner vibration, put it into motion, and then start to explore how your daily life can elevate to new frequencies. On Monday, it's sunny and vigilant. Step 9 means this is a Martian ruled day. It's time to put your new vibration into motion and take the helm. And with Mars trining Uranus, you are connecting business plans with the ability to make money. On Tuesday, it's sunny and self-aware. Step 10 indicates that the Earth rules the day, so you are manifesting a new inner vibration. It's time to move ahead with full steam, and the Moon in Libra may have you going back and forth about your relationship to yourself. On Wednesday, it's sunny and doing some clearing. Step 11 means Virgo rules the day, so this is the day where you will come into a vibrational integrity and also notice whether or not your health is in integrity. You're also releasing prior commitments you have to other people and other things, and the Moon in Libra now will make you focus perhaps on your daily relationships. On Thursday, it's sunny and peaceful. Step 12 means Jupiter rules the day. This is a day to learn and explore new lifestyle vibrations that are possible. You are navigating the course you want to take. The Moon is in Libra and then moves into Scorpio, but life may feel like it's in slow motion because there's an 11-hour void of course. And then on Friday, it's foggy but alert. Step 13 means this is a Grandmaster day where Uranus rules the day. This is the day where you're innovating your life's vibration. You're thinking higher on how you respond. And with Mercury sextiling Neptune, you are connecting your business plans with your spiritual destiny. And with the Moon in Scorpio, you are drawing the emotional line.
It's serious joy, joy, joy.
If you are watching on YouTube, please be kind and do subscribe to our YouTube channel, Serious Joy TV. Hit the bell button so you're notified. And if you don't mind, please like this video right now so the YouTube algorithm will suggest us to other people who enjoy astrology. Namaste Today Live is sponsored by SeriousJoy.com, the most helpful, most loving, and I would say the most accurate astrology service on earth. You can try us for just $3.99 to prove me right on that. That's because we use a proprietary step astrology algorithm that no other astrology app has, and we coach you through notifications and messages whether you log into our service or not. Plus, on our members-only site, we have daily pep talk podcasts where we give you the rundown and game strategy for the day. We have metaphysical special features with our metaphysical minister, Robbie Hunt. We have daily angel guidance with Devin Doer, daily sound healing with Kristen Ryder, and twice a month, lunar ceremonies with artisan Joe Zammit. Stay tuned to the end of the show. I'll give you some details on some of the programming we have coming up live this week. And switching topics here, this is my last push, at least for a while, for my Countdown 2024 webinar. It went live about 2 weeks ago. This is going to give you a walkthrough of everything you can expect for 2024. Moving into February now, so I think you really want to get on it if you're serious about your joy. It's going to be a complicated year. You can watch it immediately by navigating to senseiChristopher.com. See you there. All right, with that, let's move on to our weekly planets and transits. Ah, a pickle floating through space. Don't you love that? Our director, Sarah, posed that to me, and I'm like, it's Aquarius. I guess we can have a pickle floating in space. I think that's super funny. But yeah, it's sort of a good symbol for Aquarius energy. You know, any year, it gets a little funky with Aquarius energy. And, you know, recently, just to give you sort of a big 300,000-foot view of what's going on in the planets right now, this is probably, I think, the most interesting and captivating year we have ever lived in our lives. Honestly, I think this is going to be a phenomenally interesting year. It has already begun very interesting. To give you a big picture scope of how things have been unfolding, we just had Pluto move into Aquarius, and although it'll go back into Capricorn for a moment, from like September 2nd, I think, to November 20th, don't quote me exactly on that. I have to write it down to be precise because my mind is always thinking of so many dates. but it will dip back into Capricorn. In essence, though, this last Capricorn transit we had was the last time that the Sun and Pluto would both be in Capricorn in your lifetime. They will not share the sign again in your lifetime. This is significant because Pluto is power and Capricorn is control. So Pluto and Capricorn is power and control. And so we have been in a fight for power and control probably since 2020, I think is when I saw it all start to escalate. When Saturn conjoined Pluto on January, I think 11th or 12th. I'm getting my dates a little blurry, but between those 2 days, I called that Jackhammer January, if you remember. Many of you have been watching this whole time. And at that point, we began a world power struggle with both Saturn and Pluto in the high degrees of Capricorn. And we have been in a world power struggle since then. So for 4 solid years. And we all saw this unfold, right? We saw COVID come out. We saw all sorts of different people, fighting for their ability to keep their businesses open, or people wanting medical autonomy, or we've just seen all sorts of things. We've seen a lot of politics here in the United States with presidential candidates. We had January 6th. There was a trucker convoy. Russia invaded Ukraine. We had the Hamas and the Israel conflict. You can see it, all right, that there's been this total struggle. But interestingly enough, the struggle has all been motivated for power's sake. And I believe what Pluto was doing was cutting the strings, really. That's what Pluto does. Pluto cuts. Pluto is the boundary maker. Pluto creates division on purpose. And we've had nothing but division in these last degrees of Capricorn. So Pluto creates division. It forces a separation of energies. And so I think what's happened is the universe put powers into different camps. And we all saw ourselves into different camps, right? We saw ourselves, and I'm not going to even name the camps, but there are certain camps as far as who you believe in for politics, camps of who you believe in humanity, camps around gender identity, camps around racism, all these camps. So everyone got divided into camps. But there was no energetic push from the universe on where necessarily to go, okay? It was more about separating the powers and exposing, I think, where people are in it for power's sake, power for power's sake. Now that Pluto has moved into Aquarius, Pluto is giving the universe a different demand. The demand of consciousness is that we are now looking to innovate. We're looking to improve. We're looking for freedom. We're looking for independence. We're looking for autonomy. We're looking for the ability to be an individual, to express oneself as an individual. Pluto is now making divides based on these principles. And here, really just about a week or so into Pluto and Aquarius, boom, suddenly the headlines are unfolding. And we're now seeing a real shift in people and their power moves. And again, I just want to say as a disclaimer, I'm an astrologer. Okay, I am here to report the facts of astrology. I am not here to take sides. I'm on the side of humanity, ascension, and light. So as a disclaimer, if I bring up any example, do not assume that I am supporting that example, okay? I'm bringing it up as evidence of the planets in motion. And I will look for examples everywhere as far as I can see. So I don't choose one example over another. I'm an equal opportunity of planetary representation. But with that said, I have seen really in the last week or so, we saw the Supreme Court make a major ruling in regard to being able to defend the border, who had the right to cut down barbed wire, who doesn't. They're now talking about a trucker convoy going to the south of Texas. Texas wrote a letter demanding its ability to have to, protect its borders. States are jumping in on that. We're starting to see now a new separation of powers and associations. And one of the energies of Aquarius is humanity, community. And so what we're seeing now is, now that there's been all these separations, now we're seeing alignments for the purpose of everyone wants autonomy, freedom, independence. They also want transparency. I think we also had a major court ruling come down in the last 24 hours in a court case that one of the presidential candidates was involved in. So we're starting to see now this movement of power. I find it ironic that there's a potential another truck convoy in Aquarius because that was the last time we had one up in Canada. There was one when we had the sun in Aquarius. So in essence, the world is now starting to heat up. And if you attended my Countdown 2024 webinar, you know sort of how things are going to unfold. I am recommending to all my clients and all my viewers that the best thing you can do for the world is to take what your heart wants and to run and to manifest as fast as you can, to fill the planet with light, with love, with creativity, with inspiration, with great ideas. Basically, I'm arguing the strategy is a distraction tactic and to energetically steal the attention from conflict to innovation, steal the attention from fighting to love and unity, steal the attention from division to coming together as a new humanity. I believe that's the best thing we can do as we the people, and I think it's now time to go forward with it. Now, in the context of Aquarius, this is going to be a very interesting Aquarius transit. I think the most interesting in your entire life. The reason is that Pluto is at 0 degrees Aquarius. Now, 0 is the gateway. It is the portal. It is Scorpio. So Pluto's at its grand master step in Scorpio. Pluto rules the number 0. Okay, so this makes it hypercharged 0. And the thing is Pluto at 0 is basically holding the door open of consciousness between all separations of frequency. So what Aquarius is the physical frequency of energy. So energy, we have spiritual pre-manifest energy, that's Pisces. And then that Pisces energy comes down and it manifests into literal particles and waves, which is metaphysics and which is Aquarius. Pluto at 0 degrees actually separates the waves. It allows us to see the separation between the waves. In fact, the glyph for Aquarius are 2 waves, okay? So what Pluto does is allows us to see the gap between dimensions, all right? Now, what's interesting about this Aquarius time is that this month in Aquarius, this will be the only month in the entire Pluto and Aquarius transit where Pluto holds the door open between the dimensional layers and the sun rises through the vibration of Aquarius at the same time. What that's going to do, and it has already begun, is shine a flashlight known as the sun, basically on all of the physical dimensional layers. And so in 1 month's time, you're going to see all of the different particular dimensions that are available. It's sort of like the beginning of a film when they used to have like a James Bond film where you would sort of play this like Diamonds Are Forever or like Goldfinger, like there'd be this whole song and there'd be James Bond and sort of showing all these pictures of what you're about to see, symbols about what you're about to see in the film coming up. And this was that filmmaker. I was a filmmaker, by the way. So I study storytelling, and that's a way of opening up a film. I think that's what's going to happen in the month of Aquarius. I think we're going to see little flashes because of Pluto holding open the boundaries between dimensions. I believe we're going to see in this first month little flashes of where we could go. And just because you see something happen that seems negative or hurtful or painful, don't assume that's where we are going, because the future is to be written. Manifestation is in the power of our own hands. We will see where we go. We will determine where we go. You know, lots of people keep asking me, about the election, and I keep answering the same thing. It's not decided. Okay. And I'm not even sure if it works that way. I mean, that's part of the thing I'm looking forward to in this first month of Aquarius is we do have parallel realities. There's no question about that. There's no question. The only question I have is, do we all have our own reality? Like, are some of us going to be on the, one political path where one president wins and another people will live a reality where another president wins? I'll tell you, if there was ever a time where reality was lubricated enough for us to go off in different dimensions at will, it would be now when Pluto's in Aquarius. But over the course of this next month, I believe you are going to be introduced into your vibrational potential, that you will see the potential of where your life can go, the potential of where love life can go, the potential of your creative projects and where they can go, the potential of where your home and family can go, your ego expression, your spiritual ascension, your social connections. I'm just going around the Zodiac wheel now. If you haven't figured out, I've been naming all the houses. Basically, you're going to see the potential of how you can vibrate. I think you're also going to see in this next month where it is that you are held up in lower frequency. So that Pluto at 0 is a death degree. 0 is death. Pluto is death. Pluto is the absolute bottom line. So I think we're going to be marking as the sun goes up, as Pluto stays at 0 and the sun moves up through the degrees and illuminates all the frequencies of Aquarius. I think we're going to be deciding what frequencies we want to kill off. And by killing off, we mean no longer investing your time, your thoughts, your energy, or your attention into those matters. So if you have any question about how it is that you end something in your life, it's that you ghost it, which is why we call it ghosting, right? Ghosting is the aftermath of death. You basically just leave it alone. As Aquariuses are very good. I'd say I've been ghosted by more Aquariuses than any sign in the zodiac. Just saying, y'all are good at ghosting. It's because Aquarius has the ability to detach. So I believe that in the course of this next month, the sun's going to illuminate, and we have two interesting transits, which I talk about in my countdown this month. We have a Black Rose Valentine's Day, and then we have a birth 3 days later on February 17th. All right. The Black Rose Valentine's Day will be Mars conjoining Pluto on Valentine's Day. Now, that is absolutely the potential for a conflict. Okay. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some sort of advance in world conflict, whether that's in, the Middle East, or that conflict is in Ukraine, or that conflict is still somewhere else, that, some of these other unnamed things. It could be that. It could be a domestic thing. It could be a red flag event, which I do think is happening. There's a lot of different, timelines to try to take back power, I think, that are in play right now. But I believe what's ultimately going to happen in your personal life with Mars conjoining Pluto on Valentine's Day is that will be when you X something in your life and say, that's it, I'm done with this. It's dead to me. And what's dead is a certain frequency. Now, frequency, of course, is vibration and waves, but a better way to look at frequency is more of a habit. A habit is a frequency. I frequently go to the fridge at 2 a.m. and I graze. That's a frequency. That is a frequency of indulgence. It's a frequency of overindulgence. It's a frequency of, not sleeping well. It's something that keeps happening frequently in my life. When you do something frequently, when you take an action, when you do something, you create a wave. So if you say no, you create a wave. If you say yes, you create a wave. If you eat chocolate and then eat chocolate again and then eat chocolate again, you create a wave. It's actually that simple. We have these things that frequent our life that we do frequently. And Aquarius is just the frequency behind the things we do frequently. In fact, the vibrations that hit us and highlight our frequency inspire us because we're feeling the vibe, we're feeling the clicking energy. We are then motivated and inspired to go forward because we're feeling the vibe. Now, this is very interesting in regard to tonight's guest because we're going to be talking about astrocartography. I can't wait to talk to Helena tonight. It's going to be great because what she's saying in astrocartography is that different locations on Earth have different frequencies that then highlight different parts of your chart. And so different parts of your frequency get highlighted and amplified or smushed according to where you are on the Earth, how you interact with Mother Earth's energy. So getting back to Dark Valentine's Day, I do predict this Valentine's Day will have more breakups than it does unions. I'm just going to put that out there. I do think on Valentine's Day, something is going to be dead to you forever. I do think that by that time, which is in about 2 weeks and a few days, you're going to be ready to end a certain frequency inside of you. And that's ultimately what's going to be dying, is that you no longer want to feel frequently stupid or frequently low esteem or frequently poor or frequently tired. You're going to want to end the lower frequencies. And if there is a goal of this first Aquarius transit with Pluto in Aquarius, it is that it's time now to kill off or ghost the lower frequencies in our life. And this is the base of what ascension is. Now, we often think of ascension as going higher, raising the love, only focusing on the positive thoughts. And to some degree, yes, that's true. That's where the course is going. That's where the direction is going. You want to focus on those higher thoughts. Excuse me, my throat is in action. Yes, I'm drinking water. Yes, I'm drinking tea. Please don't bother. Yes, yes, I appreciate it. But really the real work, if you want to call it work of ascension, is throwing over the dead weight. It's ending the lower frequencies, ending the conflicts, ending the struggles. That is ultimately what keeps you from going higher. It's not that you don't want to go higher, or you're not, putting lipstick on a pig by thinking positively after something bad happens to you. You are trying those things, but if you're not removing the lower frequencies, and by the way, lower frequencies, oh, I hate when Apple does this. The lower frequencies are all sorts of frequencies in the sense of it can be your habits of health. It can be the food you're putting in your body is low frequency. It can be the thoughts that you're allowing yourself to have. It could be the associations with people or situations. It could be that you are living on a dark frequency ley line in your astro cartography, which we'll learn a little bit later. There are a whole bunch of lower frequencies. And I think, honestly, we have been seduced into these lower frequencies. I think every time you see a Kit Kat commercial, you're being seduced to a lower frequency. Every time you eat an Oreo, you're being seduced into a lower frequency. There is absolutely some sort of a twisted agenda, whether that agenda is just to make a lot of money and so not care about the chemicals in the food, or there's some a-hole out there that wants to lower the frequency. I don't know. We'll debate what the cause is later, but the effect is obvious, okay? There are more inspirations on television, in media, on the internet, in signs, in food, in education, in songs, on TV, in movies, on Netflix. I see 3 times the seduction to go low than I do the temptation or the inspiration to go high. That's what I'm observing. And by the way, I'm a high frequency guy. I do a lot of things to keep my frequency as high as I possibly can, and it can go a lot higher. And yeah, I like Oreos, so I'm constantly screwing up my frequency. Okay, so don't think I'm all high and mighty and that I know better than anyone else. I have to practice and put into motion just like everyone else does. You know what? I'm going to actually turn on my computer right now and turn that feature off. There. I just found out where to turn it off today. That's it, Apple. No more gestures. But the point is that we are at a time now here in Aquarius where I believe, because Pluto is at step 0 at the bottom of Aquarius and the sun is rising up through Aquarius, if you have energy at a lower frequency and the sun, which is our heart, is pulling you to a higher frequency, you're going to start to feel stretched like you're on a rack, okay? And that you are being tortured by the consciousness. So we've all joked about ascension sickness. This is ascension torture, all right? I believe it will become increasingly painful to stay at a lower frequency because all of Gaia and Mother Earth are going higher. And so if you insist on staying lower, I believe you're going to start to decay. I believe your body's going to start to decay. Your health, your attitude, your mental awareness is going to decay. I really believe that the way it works is when the universe goes higher, it becomes harder and harder for low vibrational frequency to exist, and it starts to have to go underground. Okay, so it literally has to start to hide from the high vibrations. So it could literally be, now I'm getting way out there, but it's Aquarius, there are rumors that there were intergalactic beings that were once on the planet that had to actually go underground and live underground when humans came to the earth. Are they living underground because they're hiding from us? Or are they living underground because they are living a low frequency and it's painful to be in the sunlight and it's painful to be up on earth? And right now we're actually only in 3D 40. We're not even in the highest degrees. So the question really is, are you going to cut your dead weight and ascend, or are you going to get stretched and eventually live underground with the village people? That's the question of the week. All right. Now, that said, where are we in this galactic ballet that's going on with Ascension, Sensei? Well, this week, we are moving into the wrap-up of the first decan of Aquarius and move into the second decan of Aquarius. And the theme of the week is getting used to weightlessness. Getting used to weightlessness. That is our theme of the week. Or enjoying weightlessness is the way I coined it in the beginning. So to see my Chiron coming up. Basically, I feel like anything that was already, let me just back up for a second. If you've already cut the dead weight, you will now start to float. That's what I mean by weightlessness. So if you've already said, that's it, it's dead to me, I don't want to go there, I think you're going to start to feel a little floaty. I think you're going to start to feel a little losing your ground, losing your ability to stay grounded. Oh, there it is, getting used to weightlessness. Thank you very much. And so I think to some degree, what we have to get used to is no longer being weighed down by certain circumstances in our life, which sounds kind of weird, but you've probably gone on a carnival ride, right? Where you were like jumping up and down in a jump house, or you were spinning on a cyclone, and you get off and you're like a little wobbly and you can't quite walk straight. Things feel a little awkward. I think that's sort of what we're getting off of. We're getting off of this crazy carnival ride known as Pluto and Capricorn. It lasted 15 years. And so we do, if you've done just a tiny bit of work on yourself, then you are going to start to feel a little weightless. You're going to feel some of this weight coming off. Another aspect of this weightlessness, by the way, is the body's transformation. So the body has been operating under this heavy gravity of dense consciousness. And so as we start to ascend to a higher vibration and we become more weightless and we start to lose some of the emotional weight that we have been carrying, I think our body has to do some purging. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I've been hearing about this I actually got it. I'm still clearing my throat. I got it on vacation. There's this nasty chest cold going around. Some people say it's COVID. Some people don't say it's COVID. I say it's an ascension release. Like when you have to release all the fluids in your body and every pore in your skin ends up spitting out something, that may not be a sickness. That actually may be the process of you getting well. That might be the process of you spurting out the lower frequency water, the lower frequency sweat glands, sweat in the sweat glands, the lower frequency saliva. I think it exists all of our bodies. So I do think that's part of the weightlessness, that our bodies are having to purge and get rid of stuff. And that we are starting to get used to, being weightless. By the way, I do think for those people who have suffered with weight issues and who want to lose literal weight, I do think you're going to see that happen as well, because most weight, I think, is a subconscious mechanism of the body to protect oneself, or it's also an inflammation due to all of the toxins and irritants that we have in our life and in our body. So I do also predict people are going to lose a lot of weight this year. And I think that the weightlessness trend is the heavyweight trend is going to start to shift a little bit as Pluto goes in Aquarius. Now, the subplot of this week is calculating the course. And what that means is that we are going to this week strategize, and this comes from Mars and Mercury in Capricorn. We're going to strategize how to do it. We're going to strategize, how do I do it? Okay, what's my plan? What's my plot? The sun moved through Capricorn, and that illuminated all the possibilities. That basically was the heart being presented. Do you want this or do you want this? Would you prefer this? Would you prefer this way? When the sun moves through a sign, our heart is looking at the options, and our heart's getting delighted at some options or getting disgusted by other options. And so now that the sun has moved on to Aquarius, the heart wants to go higher. And so Mercury, our mind, and Mars, our ego, are now catching up in Capricorn and being called to make different choices of how we act, Mars, and different directions of how we think, Capricorn, that fits this ascension, higher vibration model. So we're going to really calculate this week our strategy for success in the new year. Whereas we're exploring what we wanted in the new year up until now, now we're going to strategize. And the key question to ask yourself this week that will illuminate all the truth is, what does my heart love? What does my heart love? This is a very important key question to ask. And if you're new to my show, the key question is what gets you out of trouble for the whole week. It's what gets you out of trouble. So when you go, God, I don't know, should I take this air flight or should I take this flight? Should I stay in this hotel or that hotel? Should I sign up for this course or that course? What does your heart love? That's the simple answer. And the mind will go, but it costs this much. And you say, I didn't ask you, smartass. I didn't ask the mind. I asked the heart. What do I love? And your ego's like, that's going to be harder. We're going to have to work harder. And it's like, I didn't ask you, dumbass. That's the ego. The ego's the dumbass. The mind is the smartass. I didn't ask you, dumbass. I asked the heart. So it doesn't matter how hard it is. It doesn't matter how difficult it is. It doesn't matter how much it costs. We're at a point now, excuse me, I'm gonna have to clear my throat. Here we go. We're at a point now, and it's that lingering thing I told you about. We're at a point now where you have to be very careful about not getting seduced into the old power game for power's sake. And the only way to make sure you're not seduced in the old power for power's sake is if you choose what your heart loves, what your heart wants. That's the secret sauce, my friend. That is what will get you to the highest frequency every time. And no, it's not practical. It's not what your parents tell you to do. It's not what they tell you to do when you go to school. No, none of that. But guess what? I think we're at a point now where we've been following what everyone's been telling us here in the United States for 249 plus years. It hasn't worked. People are unhappy. People are more poor than they've ever been. We have a lower life expectancy we ever had. I'm sorry. The experts have been obviously wrong because I see life worse than when it was. So we're at a point now where, sorry, y'all had your chance. Okay. It's now time to follow from a new perspective and follow your heart. We gave all of the experts a chance to make things a better place, all the politicians a chance to make the world a better place. It didn't happen. So I think now we have to resort to spiritual intentions, and exactly, Lori, forget that all. It is now time, I think, to follow what our heart tells us. And you know what? Screw it. Let's give it 1 year. 1 year, we let your heart make the choices. Let's see how bad the earth goes. Let's give it 1 year. That's it. We gave 2,000 years to greed, anger, and power for power's sake. Let's try the hippie way one time before the baby boom crosses over. Can we? So I think this is the week where we say, what does my heart love? That's what gets you out of stickiness. That's what gets you out of jail for free. Now, we have an angel intuitive on our site, seriousjoy.com. Her name is Devin Dewar. She does come on to our Mega Monthly every month and give us some angel tips. Oops, that's the wrong Devin. There we go. And this week, what she said to do was to tap into the inner magician. This is a week where when you find yourself stuck or at a crossroads, ask what your heart loves and then dip into your magic. Dip into what your heart feels is possible. That's your magic. And I've seen magic unfold. I mean, my grandma was magical. She was an Aquarius. She was actually born on just after Valentine's Day. But like, she always had this ability to kind of like make things work with the smallest ingredients, to make dinner work with no variety. Like, she could just make magic out of anything. And I think that's what we want to do, is we want to find our magic and use our magic and try to change the rules with our magic. So I love that point from Devin. It's also time to move into the new home, as Devin put it. And I think that new home is the new frequency. It's time to get comfortable. And that's really what's going on when I talk about the sun. It's time to get comfortable into feeling a new frequency within you and owning this new frequency where you frequently feel happy, you frequently feel excited, you frequently feel joyous, you frequently feel positive, and to get rid of the frequencies that are no longer home and don't belong in the home. And then the third point she brought up was actually Archangel Ratziel, who is, I'm not going to say my favorite angel because I'll get in trouble with the other angels. I don't think they care like that. But Ratziel, if you don't know, is the ruler of Leo, and Ratziel is the ruler of dreams and magic and making your life story unfold. So she does say praying to Archangel Ratziel will do you good. I will tell you, Ratziel is my main angel I talk to or channel when I'm in personal readings. I work with Ratziel more than any other. His color is rainbow. So right now he's being seen everywhere. Everyone doesn't know, but the whole movement for gay rights is really putting out for Ratziel too. Ratziel's marching in on those rainbow colors coming in. So let's take a look at the planets this week. I'm going to take a sip of tea because I know people are going crazy here. The sun this week and Pluto are both in Aquarius. So the sun this week goes from tomorrow, step 7 Aquarius, to step 13 Aquarius by the end of the week. So we go from 7 to 13. Now, in the step system and in the degrees, 7 is actually our spiritual connection to ourselves. So tomorrow on Saturday, it's going to be a pretty profound day. We have a lot going on Saturday. Mercury's going to conjoin Mars. Mercury's going to square the North Node. Uranus is going to station direct. And this is all on the day when the sun's at 7 degrees. 7 is a Neptune degree. And so what's going to happen is that we're going to have this infusion of this spiritual realization where I think you're going to come full circle and understand your spiritual story with yourself. And I think you're going to come to a realization that you've come to an end of a certain spiritual cycle going back to childhood. And you're going to associate that cycle with a certain vibe that you feel. And so tomorrow is really going to be a major cleansing day, Saturday, January 28th, where you're going to really realize in your heart that you no longer want to frequently feel those lower karmic vibrations. I don't want to feel jealousy. I don't want to feel anger. I don't want to feel, greed. I don't want to feel, like I am stupid. I don't want to feel like I'm worthless. All these different things. You're going to realize that you're tired of frequently feeling a certain way, and that's part of the karma that you were born to, and that you're ready to get rid of that karma. So tomorrow is a major turning point. Sunday, step 8, Saturn ruled day. Sunday, we make a decision and we commit. That's it. This is dead to me. I'm going to ghost these frequencies. I'm going to ghost these vibrations. I'm no longer going to feel this way and frequent this way. So this weekend is a real powerful turnaround weekend because, as I mentioned, we have Uranus station direct. And so Uranus direct at 19 degrees Taurus says, in essence, as soon as you come to terms with what frequencies you're going to ghost and what frequencies you're going to host, Uranus goes, all right, let's go. And Uranus clicks into gear and starts moving forward, which means we start to ascend and go higher, which is really amazing and magical that Uranus stations direct in an Aquarius frequency. So 7 to 8 degrees this weekend, we commit. This is the way it is. As you can see, Pluto is actually, God, I'm getting sick of this thing. I swear to God, Apple, I'm going to kill you. Pluto at 0 degrees is holding that ground frequency I was talking about as the sun then rises to these higher frequencies. Now, we'll get to Monday, step 9, where it's going to be time to put those commitments into action. Tuesday, step 10, we hold space and we manifest a new foundation in ourselves. Tuesday's ruled by Earth. Wednesday, we then come into full integrity of our frequency. So Wednesday is like hump day. That's when you're like, you're like totally in the zone. So come Wednesday, you are now humming and feeling good. Then Thursday, step 12, you start to expand and go, well, now that I'm feeling good, let's take a look at this life and this world I live in, and let's start to examine the frequency of my daily life, because the frequency of my daily life is a child of the frequency of my inner life. Okay. What you be is what comes. That's the law of frequency right there. What I frequent inside me is what frequently comes outside of me and is attracted to me. So come Thursday, we start to realize, I don't think I live in Kansas anymore. I don't think I want to live this way or frequent this way in my life. Then Thursday, step 13, pow, 13 is a grandmaster step of Aquarius because it adds to a 4. Uranus's number is 4. And so next week, 1 week from tonight, we are all blasting off, friends, to another level and another dimension. So stay tuned next week on Groundhog Day, where we're going to have a transdimensional Namaste Today Live. It's going to be fun. Now, moving on to Capricorn. We got a lot of stuff going back in Capricorn. And as I mentioned, with Mercury, Mars, and Venus still in Capricorn, there's a lot of focus on the actual control still. We still have our hands on the wheel. We may be blasting off, but we still have our hands on the wheel. We have our creativity on the wheel with Venus. We have our ego on the wheel with Mars. We have our thoughts focused on the road with Mercury. So the temptation to still stay and play those reindeer games for power's sake, okay, will still be there. So the real work is in what you choose to do. Venus from 5 to 12 is what you choose to open up into inside of yourself. So Venus is saying you got to open up to doing it differently inside of yourself. That's self-discipline. You got to open up to not going to the fridge and getting an Oreo or whatever, right? I mean, if you have your Oreos in the fridge, you got to open up to trying a different way to find your happiness. You got to open up to finding a more efficient way to get your exercise. So we're opening up with Venus from 5 to 12. We're opening up to new possibilities of operating on the inside, to the new plan. And when we go to 12 degrees with Venus, we're opening up to new ways of living in our outer life. Mars goes from 17 to 21 degrees, and Mars is actually the cutting agent. I always say Mars is the sword. Mars makes the cut. So Mars is cutting the old strategies, the old ways of doing things, the old power for power's sake. Mars is breaking up, cutting deals. Mars is also trailblazing for Venus. So Mars is plowing the new possibility, opening up the doors for Venus to catch and receive a few days or degrees later. But Mars is ultimately where the ego is having to choose. And I've said this many times. Most of the ascension is opting out of the conflict. Okay. So if you're saying, I'm getting ready to fight, I'm sorry, you're in the old world. We don't fight in the new world. We negotiate. Okay. So if you are clamping down to fight, if you're going to show them, if you want to say, I told you so, if you want to say, I'm right, you're wrong, if you want to win, if you want to beat them, okay, then you're opting in for the old frequency. You're signing up for another round. And like I said in my initial lecture, you're eventually going to feel more and more sick on earth, more and more pushed underground, more and more not a part of this reality, in my humble opinion. So the real trickster here is going to be Mars, our ego, from the perspective of being a light walker or a light worker. You're going to have to officially lose to win. You're going to have to lose this conflict, not have the final word, not show them, not say I told you so. Your opponent, if you want to call him an opponent, will be like, ha ha, I won. And in your heart, you'll know, but I just ascended. So, it's all in how you look at the word winner. All right. Now, Mercury moves from 17 degrees to 25 degrees. And so our mind is making some critical intellectual decisions this week, all the way to the point of how we see ourselves mentally with our destiny. In fact, Mercury will sextile Neptune on Friday. Well, our mind will be squaring off with our spiritual vision, and our life will either be on course to meet our spiritual vision or not on course to meet our spiritual vision. And by spiritual vision, I mean ultimately what you plan to do before you came to Earth. So Ascension is great. Pluto and Aquarius is great. Far out situations are cool and groovy. But these three characters here, your openness, your ego, and your thoughts, this is what actually tempts to hold you back in the old era and blow your opportunity to move forward, FYI. Now, looking at the emotions of the week. Right now, the moon is in Leo, which is why I am shining like a rock star tonight. If you can't tell, whenever the moon's in Leo, I feel fabulous and my hair is a little higher. So the moon is in Leo today and part of tomorrow, which means your heart is helping you to come to these conclusions about what it is that your heart wants to invest in. And remember, the key question of the week is, what does my heart love? That is the key question of today and tomorrow and today and tomorrow and part of Sunday. Sorry about that. So our heart's going to be making lots of choices. Then we'll make our choice and the moon will move into Virgo. Now, the problem with that is, Virgo is buyer's remorse. Like, oh, I should have gotten the red car. Why did I get the red car? I think I paid too much. Oh my God, I don't know if this is really good enough for me. So the universe really tests us because over the weekend, you're like, okay, this is it. Okay, yes, I decide I'm going to do it. And then the moon goes to Virgo and you're like, oh, I don't know. I don't know if I want to do this. I don't know. It's going to cost a lot. It's uncomfortable. I don't know. This isn't, Virgo to me is like Little Red Riding Hood, where it was like, it was too hot, too cold, not enough, just right. Like, so you're going to be very emotionally picky, finicky, detail oriented, hyper aware, hyper conscious from Sunday night through Monday, where you are ultimately and emotionally working through all of the details. Oh, Goldilocks. Thank you. What did I say? I don't know. I'm getting my fairy tales confused. Thank you very much. But we're going to, my director is like, no. It's like my thing in my ear, like broadcast news. But the moon in Virgo is going to make you, as we hit step 9 and hit step 10, 8 and 9 into 10, you're going to be very hyper aware, probably very uncomfortable. What I'm saying is, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Okay. Sunday, Monday, and part of Tuesday. Just get comfortable being uncomfortable because you're changing frequencies. You're literally coming out of your comfort zones and it will seem hyper real. And if you decide to go cold turkey on something like coffee, you're going to feel it so intensely. Then the moon moves into Libra Tuesday, Wednesday, and part of Thursday. And this is when we go into step 10, step 11, and step 12. And this is going to be sort of like, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We're going to feel like we're flying. We're going to feel like we're going, too much, too little, adding on each side, trying to stay balanced, being very hyper aware of our relationships those days, just so you know. So, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday are very sort of wishy-washy, back and forth. And because the moon's in an air sign, the sun's in an air sign, very, very airy. Very, very airy. So I think we'll be a little spaced out. So when I talk about the weightlessness, I got to quit using quotes because of Apple. When I talk about the weightlessness that we feel this week, I'm really talking about Tuesday, Wednesday, and part of Thursday when the moon's in Libra and the sun's in Aquarius at the same time, and we're just flighty. Okay. Then the moon dives into Scorpio Thursday and next Friday. And when that happens, that is ultimately when we draw the emotional line. And so when we go to step 12 and then step 13, when we expand our daily life and we realize life has to go higher, that's really when you jump off. That's really when you step away from the space shuttle. If you're going on a spacewalk, that's when you draw the line and you finally call what you're ghosting from what you're keeping, what you're coasting from ghosting, as I like to say. All right. So looking into Virgo itself, one thing that adds to the Virgo vibration is Black Moon Lilith. Black Moon Lilith moves from 12 to 13 on Sunday. So that means that 13 is literally adds to a 4. That's literally the Aquarius degree. That literally means that we are going to face our fears or trauma of times in our past lives where we tried to take it higher and we tried to ascend. So you're going to be facing any fears you have around weightlessness and any fears you feel around being a fish out of water or a stranger in a strange land. So whatever those fears may be, you're going to have to face them and just face them head on. Moving on to Pisces, we have Saturn this week moving from step 5 to step 6 Pisces. And that is a good thing. That means that we're no longer facing karma about our thoughts of ourselves. Step 5, we're now going to face any karma we have with our overall relationship to ourselves. And when I say face karma, I mean close the karma story, because Saturn has already been here and back. This is its third time it's been at step 5 and step 6 Pisces, in the last year, so to speak. So this is the final time. This is the final time where you're going to start to decide and keep this new balance with yourself, because 6 is a Libra degree. So you're going to commit to a new balance with yourself. You're going to commit to a new stride with yourself. You're going to commit to a new harmony with yourself. Those are the commitments you're going to have to yourself with Saturn moving to step 6. Saturn moves to step 6 on Saturday, on Saturn Day. So Saturn moves to the next degree on Saturn Day. And so really this whole week ahead of us is about getting into our own balance, getting into our harmony. Neptune is direct, but maintaining at Grandmaster step 25 Pisces. So that means as you get it right with yourself, you raise the frequency and the potential for your destiny. So as you take responsibility for your relationship to yourself, your destiny will rise to a higher frequency. That's how that's going to work. Now, moving to the Taurus energy, Jupiter this week goes from 6 to 7 degrees. So interesting that Saturn goes from 5 to 6 and Jupiter goes from 6 to 7. So you can kind of see how Jupiter and Saturn are working together in that sense. They're also sextiling, by the way. Jupiter at 6 to 7 means that we're now going to expand. I think going to 7 here, and that happens on, I didn't see what day that happens on. Darn it. I'll have to look that up on the break. But when it goes to 7, we basically, I think, are now starting to expand the story of the new spiritual story. And we're starting to own our new self-worth, which is Jupiter in the first degrees of Taurus. We're owning our new self-worth in the new spiritual story. So you start to get the new self-confidence of the new spiritual story. What does that mean in practical terms? It means you're really going to start to believe in where you're going. And you're really going to start to value where you're going. And because you're believing it and you're valuing it on the inside, you're really being able to then take advantage of Uranus, which stations direct tomorrow. So just like we saw with Saturn and Neptune, Jupiter and Uranus are working the same way. As you own your self-worth here with Jupiter, you raise the potential of what you can manifest with Uranus and Uranus, the Aquarius ruler in Taurus. And 19, by the way, is the Grandmaster degree of Taurus. So I honestly believe that while it's at step 19, you are basically setting the potential for income, setting the potential for law of attraction, setting the potential for how positive something can an outcome can be, setting the potential for technology innovation. All sorts of potentials are being set, which means yesterday you might not have had the potential, but now this week you do. And with Uranus stationing direct, it is now going to start to be seen and show off in your life. And then lastly, the Aries consciousness. We have Chiron at step 15, and we have, and it moves to step 16 on Tuesday. That's a real relief. Chiron at 15 has been helping us to heal our relationships. And this is a big reason why a lot of people are breaking up. A big reason why I think there'll be a lot of separations happening on this Black Rose Valentine's Day. But now that it's moving to 16, we are now coming to a full completion of being healed in our karma, Chiron. Chiron, that K stands for karma. It's really a key, but I call it a K. That karma K is really for our karma. And so with Chiron moving to 16, it means that we have healed now our karma with taking the wrong action or doing the wrong thing in daily life. Okay, so somewhere in daily life, we messed up once upon a time, but now we're feeling like we can go on. So that's a big gateway opening that happens when Chiron goes to 16 degrees on Tuesday. You're going to really feel like you won't mess it up this time. And that's magical. The North Node moves from step 18 to step 17. Remember, nodes are always moving backwards. They're always retrograde from our perspective. 17 means that we begin to make some real commitments to where we want life to go. So when you look at these two together, okay, you are ready to make commitments as of Sunday. There's my balloons. And as you make commitments as of Sunday, you then now open up and realize, hey, I have new potential for where I can go in my daily life. So in essence, over the course of this week, I believe that the Aries energy is going to make us feel free. And so I believe that each of us are going to feel a lot more free by next Friday. Free to move on, free to move about the cabin, free to do what you want to be, free to be me, especially with the Aquarius energy. All right. So with that said, let's take a look at some of the planets, shall we? Some of the transits. We're going to go through these pretty quickly because we have so many to go through. Let me tell you. If you joined late, keep streaming for Astro Mingle. We have Helena Woods is on tonight, an astro cartographer. We're going to dive deep. By the way, she's a Taurus. So we're going to speak fluent moo later tonight. Now, there's a lot going on, so I'm going to go through these quickly. First chart that I want to look at. Mercury conjoins Mars. This is a big deal. This is where Mercury and Mars both team up. Apex is at 9:58 a.m. tomorrow morning. On Saturday, the 27th, this is where your mind and ego get on the same page about what we want to do. Of course, the sun is at step 7, so we're coming to a spiritual reality. We're coming to a full circle of our spiritual story with the sun at 7. Venus at 5 says, I know exactly how to think about this. So really the first thing that happens tomorrow at around 10 a.m. Eastern time is that you wake up knowing, I know exactly what I want to do and what I have to do. Then the sun squares Jupiter happens. Oh, actually, I got this wrong. Darn it. And I changed these beforehand. My goodness. Sorry. Jupiter, the sun squares Jupiter in the morning. My bad. Or middle night. I actually thought I had these arranged correctly. Apparently not. But before the two of Mercury and Mars come together, the sun actually squares Jupiter. And what that means is in the middle of the night here in the United States, during the daytime in Asia and Europe, we come to realize, gosh darn it, I deserve it. Okay. Then you're like, well, if I deserve it, Mars and Mercury, I'm going to make a commitment. And then as soon as that happens, it's like, well, now that we made a commitment, Uranus station's direct. Let's go forward. So this is why tomorrow's such a powerful day, because you have this trifecta of the sun squaring Jupiter. I know what I'm worth. Mercury and Mars coming together. And then we have, of course, Uranus station. Actually, this is still backwards. Uranus station's direct first. My goodness. Sorry, I'm making an ass of myself. Let's make sure this is correct. 11 p.m. This is 1 a.m. Yeah, this is weird. Something happened here. I think I reopened this file and it goofed up. So we're just going to fix live on the air here, since we love live shows. There we go. All right, now we have 28 in order. Oh, okay. And Mercury, well, that's Mercury squares the North Node. That's the end of 27. So the very end of the night, actually, of 27 is that Mercury squares the nodes. And this is basically, so let's just go this again, since I made such a foolery of myself here. It starts with the middle of the night where the sun squares Jupiter. So you go, yeah, I know what I'm worth and I'm going to get it. Then we have Uranus stations direct. Okay, you know what you're worth. Let's go for it. Now that you know what you're worth, it's time to go for it. Then Mercury conjoins Mars. Okay, this is what we're going to do. Now that we've decided to go for it, we know that we're worth it, and Uranus is direct. Then Mercury squares the nodes at the end of the day. And that's when you basically go, okay, Mercury's moved to 18. Then if I'm going to make these decisions, then I've got to move forward in my life this way. Whew, we did it. All right. And then we have, and now I'm not trusting anything. Let's see. This is at 1 a.m., 9 a.m., and any more 28s, and at 4 p.m. So these are correct here, and at 8 p.m. So here we go. So now the 28th, same one. Good to be a perfectionist here. I need a little more Virgo on my chart. So on Sunday, a lot of stuff going. Venus then sextiles Saturn. So Venus at step 6, sextiles Saturn at step 6. Saturn has just moved to step 6 from step 5 in the last 24 hours, by the way. So then the next day, after knowing where you want to go, you then start to realize that your relationship to yourself, which is step 6, is now in line or not in line with your karma. So if you wake up in the morning on Sunday feeling like something's wrong, it's because you are not in line with your spiritual story. And that's what this sextile is going to reveal. Then later in the day at 9 a.m., Mars squares the North Node. So now Mars says, okay, this is what we definitely have to act on. When Mercury squared the North Node, we were planning on what to act on. Now that Mars squares the North Node, we are going to go ahead and act on it. Then later in the day, isn't it crazy this weekend? Mercury then, this is at 4:06 p.m. of the same day, Sunday, Mercury then trines Uranus, which is now direct at 19. So this is the order from the captain of the ship. Okay, all steams ahead. Let's manifest. Let's do this already. Then later in the day, at night before you go to bed, Venus then trines Jupiter, which happens, and this has just happened here. I got this a moment after. It actually trines it at 6:59. Venus trines Jupiter and says, okay, I'm going to own it. I'm worth it. Let's do this. So in essence, what I just gave you, all those 7 charts, that's the weekend. Okay, that's how much is going on over the weekend. All right, then we move on to the next key date, which is Monday. At that point, Mars trines Uranus, so it's like, let's do this. We move forward. So Tuesday, you see things moving forward. Remember, 19 is I manifest. It's also a number that adds to 10, so it's a Taurus number. So we're basically saying all steam ahead with the manifestations. And then the final chart of the week is actually on Groundhog Day. Also, my buddy Scott Cruz's birthday, by the way. Happy birthday, Scott. We love you. On February 2nd at 5:45 a.m., Mercury sextiles Neptune. And so this is where your mind tunes in with your destiny next Friday as the sun is at Grandmaster Step 13 Aquarius. And we realize I'm heading for a galaxy I've never been to before. I'm heading for a place I've never seen before. Mercury checking with Neptune. Oh God, am I doing the right thing? So this happens actually early in the morning of next Friday. Oh God, am I doing the right thing? And the answer is, what does your heart say? Thanks for bearing through me on that one. I don't know how I got those slides confused, but I do know this. It's time now to think about and talk about how this relates to you. Go steep yourself some tea, my friend, and let's have our tea time. All righty, welcome to our tea time segment. For those who have joined us, we want to say hello. We welcome you here. We're so grateful to have you. Many people have found Namaste Today Live. We're very excited with our growth, and we're very happy to have you here. We are a spiritual family. We love you. We only have one intention here, and that's to help you become better, because I believe if you vibrate higher, all of Mother Earth is going to vibrate with you. So it's in my gain for you to grow and gain everything you want in the world. So thank you. It's a pleasure to be here with you. That said, we're going to go through our soul horoscopes now. And what I do here is I'm going to talk about for all 12 signs, a lot of what's going on this week. And I'm going to have a few points to look at. Let me get through to my notes here. A lot of notes. If you guys saw all the notes I had, you'd just be like, whoa. So this week for all 12 signs, I want to help you. Now, I just want to put this out there again for those who are new. Your sun sign is the most important sign for navigating your life because the sun is the heart and the heart is the creator. So you'll never get your rising sign correct if you don't get your sun sign correct. And this is something I have learned through empirical, through clients, 18 years now. This is my step 18 year as a step 18 Taurus. I have learned that you've got to master the sun. So when I talk about these horoscopes, first and foremost, pay attention to your sun sign, apply that, then apply the rising sign logic. The rising sign is what you make with the sun sign. All right. What you make with the sun sign. So for all 12 signs and rising signs, I'm going to talk about the sun moving from steps 7 to 13 this week. What does that mean? Where is your heart exploring? Where are you getting used to weightlessness? Where are you calculating the course? Where are you elevating? So we'll talk about where it is you're going to secure your inner. You're going to secure and commit to your inner frequency, and then where you're going to actually connect and expand your outer frequency. And remember, this week we secure the inner frequency, and then we expand. We start to expand the outer frequency. And so we end the week, which is next Friday, February 2nd, we end the week wanting to expand our outer life, but not actually doing it. So just realizing, like, if I can do this, then my life could possibly do that. All right. Now, I'm also going to talk about Uranus direct. Where is Uranus direct for all 12 signs? Where are you moving forward? Where is it now time to innovate and manifest? I was linking the words innovate, manifest, infest. There you go. It disappeared balloons. So where are you going to infest your life? I like that word. I might keep using it. Sometimes God works in mysterious ways. Where are you going to infest your life? Where are you going to innovate your manifestation potential? And that is as of tomorrow. You want to start working on that. Then I'm going to talk about the final transit of the week, which happens next Friday morning. Mercury sextiling Neptune at 25 degrees. Mercury at 25 Capricorn, Neptune at 25 Pisces. Where is it that you are coordinating your earthly plans, Mercury in Capricorn, with your spiritual destiny, Neptune in Pisces? All right. And as always, as I talk about these horoscopes, I'll put the sign I'm talking about right here to the side so you can easily navigate if you come back later. Also, I want to let you know that we always re-release these horoscopes on Tuesdays. So check back in next Tuesday to watch these just cut out on their own and be reminded of the goals of the week. All right, starting with the Aries Trailblazers. The Trailblazers this week are securing their inner frequency when it comes to their friendship to themselves. I look at the first decan of Aquarius as our friendship to ourselves. I look at the first decan of Leo as our self-love. So being a friend is not the same thing as being a lover, right? Sometimes friends tell you the hard truth. Sometimes friends tell you what you don't want to hear because it's necessary. Sometimes you have to apply tough love in your friendship. And if you want to quote what an Aquarius is, they have a tough love for their friends. They love you, but they'll tell you you've got spinach between your teeth. So for Aries Trailblazers this week, it's time to secure your inner frequency and figure out how to frequently be your own friend. Okay? Frequently be your own friend. Now, at the end of the week, when you expand, once you're a friend to yourself, you're now going to realize it's time to take your social connections to a higher level. And that may mean a higher level as in another class, maybe another section, maybe a higher level is, I'm going to be in the C-suite now instead of being a junior exec. Maybe it's that I'm going to now be independent contractor instead of being an employee. But you're going to start to see that your place in the world can go higher and needs to go higher. And by the way, with Pluto and Aquarius, this is where Arises are going to trailblaze. Arises are going to trailblaze the new humanity. And it starts with getting right, being a friend to yourself, and then it moves to your social connections and how you see yourself in the context of humanity. Now, Uranus stationing direct means it's time to go for the money. Okay, remember Jerry Maguire? Where's the money? Is that what it was? But it's time to go for the money. So Aries, I think you have to connect these two, and they have to be reconciled because Aquarius and Taurus are square energy, right? And later this month, the sun will square Uranus. You have to make sure that this place in society earns the most money or money you deserve. Maybe not the most, but the money you deserve. But honestly, as a Taurus talking to you, go for the most right now. I think at this moment, simply because we don't know where things are going. That's not to say go for money over happiness. No. But I do think you should try to push the potential of what you can do. Now, the Mercury sextile Neptune for Aries means that by the end of the week, you're going to be thinking about your legacy and your career and where it's heading. And you have to make sure that that is completely synergetic with your own spiritual beliefs, with your own karmic destiny, with your relationship to God and your relationship to heaven. So you got to make sure that your career is working with your spiritual values. I would not recommend, I would never recommend a career that's not in alignment with your spiritual values. But when you have Neptune in the house of spirituality, you better not go against your spiritual values right now. I think that will be a major mistake. So be conscientious of that. And that is our heroes, or what was our heroes, now the Trailblazers of the Aries. All right. And I have to remember to take drinks between these. All right, moving on to the Taurus Master Builders. Taurus, it's now time to secure your inner frequency with self-discipline. And by the way, self-discipline isn't always what you think. For instance, for me, my self-discipline has to relax a bit. I put too much on my plate, too much on the table. So I have failed to be a good friend to myself at times because I have been overly ambitious and pushed myself too hard. But it is time to come into a nice frequency in how it is that you discipline yourself. When you discipline yourself, that means what you commit to inside yourself, following through with that commitment, giving yourself the appropriate timing for those commitments. So really time to get really in alignment with the way you commit and the way you, and what you commit to. That's the other side of it. Like, don't bite off more than you can chew. Don't commit to something your heart's not really aligned with. So it's really about getting those inner commitments really straight. Now, at the end of the week, Tauruses are going to be considering new career and legacy opportunities. And by the way, Taurus are the master builders because Pluto in Aquarius is Taurus's 10th house. Tauruses are here to build the new era, to build it in schools, to build it in architecture, to build it in AI, to build. We are the builders of the new era, Tauruses, and you are the master builders of the zodiac. So you're probably going to maybe make some changes. Once you get your self-discipline in alignment, you're going to probably realize that your career, your leadership, your parenting ability, these are all 10th house options, are all going to shift a little bit. Now, Uranus direct is in your sign, Taurus. And so what that means, it is now time to be the shiny new penny. Tauruses are now ready to innovate their behavior, their responses, and their capacity to perform. You're going to see this sensei just get better and better and better every week in my performance as Uranus continues to climb up the Taurus spectrum. This is the year for Tauruses to get out of their comfort zone, to go on stage, to public speak, to get out there, to pitch your blueprints for the new era. Now, the sextile between Mercury and Neptune says that you have to make sure that you're in alignment with your life's purpose. And I think this is really important because Jupiter in your sign is giving you a whole bunch of opportunities, and some of those opportunities may not be in alignment with your purpose. Okay. So make sure you're on the path of your purpose and aligning that with your social ambition, that your purpose and your social ambition are one and the same. And purpose, remember, is very personal based on what you believe. It's based on the 9th house. So purpose is based on what you believe. So that you're in alignment with your beliefs and you're in alignment with your spiritual and social goals for humanity. Big deal for the Tauruses. Geminis, the master gems. Geminis have to get their inner frequency when it comes to their belief in themselves. You must, without a doubt, believe in yourself, and it must vibe with you. It has to vibe. You have to have beliefs that vibe, that feel right, that feel at home, that feel authentic, that feel real, and that are transparent, okay, to yourself. So it's time to really vibe with your belief in yourself. Now, Pluto in Aquarius means that your role in the age of Aquarius and your role in the new era is actually the educators. You are going to be the ones who educate us. Normally the Sag's job, not this time. Okay. If Pluto was in Leo, it'd be the Sag's job, but it's not. So it is now going to be your job to educate. All right. And so you have got to really make sure you know what you believe in. And then at the end of the week, start to be willing to elevate your beliefs about the world. A lot of your beliefs about the world were based on insecurities in yourself. Once you are secure with your belief in yourself, you will see the world a little differently. So you're going to innovate your perspective on what you see in the world. Now, Uranus direct means it's now time for your faith to go to a higher level. Gemini, not everything can be experienced in the brain. Not everything can be read. Some stuff comes from heaven. Some information gets downloaded from a higher source. So Geminis are now logging into their higher source modems with Uranus stationing direct in Taurus. You are now reaching a higher spiritual frequency, which must integrate with your left brain, right brain hemisphere. Remember, one of your brains is intuitive, one of your brains is logical. The intuitive brain needs to go higher, says Uranus direct. Now, the sextile between Mercury and Neptune says you've got to be very clear about where your boundaries are and where you need to change. No Gemini should be staying the same right now. You've been staying the same for 15 years with Pluto in your 8th house. It is now time to transform your life and take it to a higher vibration, which means you got to be very clear about what you will do and won't do. And by the way, most of the things that you will do are things that you didn't used to want to do. Okay. So a lot of Geminis getting pushed into the tub. All right. Now, that said, with Mercury saying, hey, let's make some changes in our boundaries, that has to be aligned, those boundaries, with your career ambitions, your legacy, Neptune and Pisces, your ability to commit, your ability to lead. So you have to make sure that the boundaries you make position you for career, leadership, and parenting success, or position you for the retirement that you want or the end game that you are aiming for. All right. Little drink here. Cool. Cancers, the Moonchild. Cancers are now finding the frequency to trust themselves. You have got to fine tune how to trust yourself on the inside, Cancer. You've got to make sure you know exactly how to trust yourself. And by the way, trust is a frequency. It is not a knowing. It's a frequency. So trust is a certain vibe. So you've got to align with your trust vibes on the inside. Once you align with your trust vibes on the inside, then you can use that as your Rosetta Stone to see what you can trust in the outside. So you're going to first integrate your self-trust this week, and then you're going to start to feel out, okay, if I can trust myself, well, then what do I trust in my life? Who do I trust? Where's the boundaries at work? Where's the boundaries with conversation? Where's the boundaries with sex? Because it's also sexual boundaries. So interestingly enough, Cancer's role in the new era is to get us to all change our boundaries. Cancer is going to be the one that acts like a Scorpio in the new era. They're going to be the ones that's massaging people, saying, you can do it, open up to it. I know you got this. So the Cancer energy is going to be used for personal transformation in the next 24 years with Pluto and Aquarius. Of course, first, you've got to get good at trusting yourself before I'm going to listen to you about jumping off the ledge. But your alignment is to find that trust in yourself and then start to see where you trust other things. Now, Uranus direct means it's now time to go forward in society. Cancers have a different place in the world than they've ever had before. This is a new era. So it's time to up the reputation, up the resume, get out the social media, put out all the information, put out your fishing lines to see what you attract, what you catch as opportunity. Time to raise your frequency of who you work with. Don't work with the lower frequency anymore. That's always the case for everyone. There's always someone who's was lower that will come back to where you were. So whatever you were taking care of, there's some young Cancer that will come into that place. Don't worry. You go to the higher level, you teach them, let the person who was before come up to the next level. That's how it works. We're always climbing, we're always ascending. Cancers tend to go, oh, I can't leave people behind. No, there'll be some other young Cancer that'll do that. Don't worry about it, okay? But it's time to move up in the social connections that you have. Now, where you have to be careful with Mercury and Neptune is you must be very clear to be about your marriage and your partnerships and who you connect with in a relationship perspective, okay? You cannot let yourself fall back. You cannot have any last one with an ex. You cannot, you cannot fall into old relationship patterns. Your relationships are going to be something you've never had before. not anything you've had in the past. I don't think Cancer's going to do any repeats. If a Cancer is doing a repeat, they're not going to ascend to the next level. They're going to do another repeat. Okay. So this is the lines with relationships, but your relationships have to be in alignment with your life purpose. What that means is you can no longer date someone who doesn't believe in astrology. Okay. You can no longer partner with someone who thinks you're kooky for doing tarot cards. You're at a point now where you must stick with your own kind. And I'm not saying to treat other people poorly. I'm saying don't marry someone that doesn't believe in astrology or doesn't believe in what you believe in, or at least is open to hearing about and interested in it. They don't have to believe in it, but they have to not call you a kook. So Cancers have got to align their beliefs and their purpose and their relationships in the same place. All right. And I do think it's time for them to trust themselves. It's going to be pretty fun to watch this. Leos and Leo risings. Leos are the leaders of love in the new era, the love leaders. Now, Leos have got to raise their frequency and their relationship to themselves, which I call the mirage. Okay, so it's time to raise the frequency in your mirage to yourself. This is how you vibe with yourself from day to day. Are you a good partner to yourself? Are you a poor partner to yourself? When there's a thorn in your paw, do you just sit there and cry and not do anything about it? Or do you do something to help yourself? Your inner vibe with yourself has got to be a new high vibration. Okay. You've got to step into this new way of feeling. When you look in the mirror, it's got to be new and improved the way you see your energy. So your energy with yourself has got to be higher. All right. This is super important. Raising the energy with yourself to a higher frequency. Now, once you do that, okay, you will then be starting to look at your outside relationships and how they need to either take to a higher level or go away. Now, Pluto in Aquarius means that Leos are going to be re-architecting human relationships in the new era. You are going to be the leaders of what to do, of the changes of long-term relationships. Leos are going to show us how to get along. Of course, it's the age of light. Of course, the Leos ruled by the sun will be the ones that show us how to love and get along with one another. That does mean Leos will have to share the spotlight, which is one of the reasons why you've got to get your vibration to yourself in order. So Leos are raising the vibe of self-love and the way they approach themselves. Hello, Joe Zammit. Now, that said, Uranus direct means it is time to get out there with your career, Leo. It's time to take your career to the next level. It's time to get more for less. Listen to me, more for less, more impact for less energy. That's part of what Uranus is more for less. But it's time to raise the vibe in your capacity to parent, your capacity to lead, your capacity to direct your life, your capacity to direct your vision. It's time to innovate your manifestations in your career. Mercury sextiling Neptune says you've got to be very focused about your lifestyle. Your lifestyle has to stay on track for a high energy, healthy, balanced lifestyle. So your lifestyle must be on track, and you must coordinate your life with your life transformations, Neptune and Pisces. You have to coordinate your life with your personal boundaries. So boundaries and lifestyle have to work like best friends, like a Gemini twin, okay, between boundaries and lifestyle. Because part of the reason why your lifestyle goes off track is because your boundaries are Pisces based. They're all loosey-goosey, always flowing, not always the same thing. Sometimes, something we can rely on. Sometimes we can't rely on it. And so those wishy-washy, fishy-washy boundaries have let your lifestyle go over the map. So you have to get your lifestyle and your boundaries and your life transformation on the same page. Virgos. Virgos are the virtuosos now. The virtuosos have got to get their frequency right with their body. So Virgos, you must get comfortable in your own skin. You must get comfortable with health and nutrition. I really think Virgos are going to have a hard time if they don't eat healthy at this point. I personally recommend getting rid of GMOs and toxins and poisons. Shop only in the outer aisles of the grocery store. Avoid all the inner aisles and really get your body and your health into highest vibration as possible. That also means where you live. And by the way, if you didn't see last week's Astro Mingle, we had a feng shui expert on. I would go back. She was a Virgo. She knows this more than anyone, that your home must be high vibration. Okay. So how you live in the moment, how you live in your body. As soon as you get that in alignment this week, you're then going to start to expand and realize that your whole life needs to raise in its vibration. The way you work, your daily lifestyle, your routines, the equipment you use, the chemicals you use to clean, whatever. It all has to be to a higher vibration. So you're raising your vibration. Now, with Pluto and Aquarius, Virgos are going to be the signs that help us raise the vibration in life. Virgos are going to help the whole planet, Mother Earth, everywhere raise in vibration. As Aquarius is raised in their vibration, they will pull us all up with them because they are the absolute of what's real, right? So you are going to have the role of raising the physical material frequency of Earth in the new era over the next 24 years, but it starts with you raising yourself as the battery, all right? Now, Uranus direct means it's now time to innovate your education. I know you know it all, Virgo, but guess what? You don't. Because God is opening up new stuff to learn, not because you haven't mastered the current reality. It's that reality just went up another notch. So it's now time for you to start to educate, start to travel the world, start to find new relationships, start to experience things from other perspectives, other cultures, and innovate your life purpose. Find greater meaning and greater value in life itself with Uranus direct, okay? Now, the Mercury-Neptune sextile means that you must align your heart's desires with your partnerships. Your heart and what your heart wants and your long-term partnerships have to be on the exact same page. So similar to Cancers, you could no longer be in relationships with people you don't agree with, okay? I don't care how well you can try to make it work. You're stuffing a square peg into a round hole when you do that. And what Mercury sextiling Neptune is saying is your heart and your beliefs have got to be on the same page. Your heart and your partnerships have got to be on the same page. You have to make sure that your partnerships support what your personal dreams are, that your partnerships are behind what you want to create in life, that your partnerships are behind your children, that are behind what your heart wants. So there can be no compromise or sacrifice, I think, for relationships in Virgos. Any compromise won't really be a compromise if your heart is 100% aligned with the partnership. Okay. It's only a compromise if you're having to choose the partner over the heart. And that can't happen anymore, is what it's saying. Libras, the peace artists. Libra, you have got to step into a high vibration of self-love. This is very hard. Libras would rather love someone else so that they would be loved, and this is not going to be allowed in the new era. You have to love yourself first and love yourself some more, and you've got to find out what that frequency of self-love is, and you've got to package it and put it in a bottle. So you're going to raise the frequency of your self-love. Then you're going to raise the ability to love in the world. So your love relationships, your relationship to your children, relationship to creative projects, relationship to dreams is going to go to a higher level. So Libras are going to ascend personal dreams. Now, with Pluto in Libra, Libras are going to be the ones that get us all to love each other more than we've ever loved before. You're going to be the negotiators of love in the new era. It's up to you to help people step into unconditional love. It'll be through Libras. It'll be through Libras ruling by example, not by coercion, manipulation, backdoor deals, by authentic inspiration from watching you. So it's time to step in that self-love. It's time to raise the love and creativity in your life. Now, Uranus and Taurus direct means it's now time to start to change your boundaries. It's time to transform your life. Libras are going to go through an uncomfortable transformation. You could say that you are in the caterpillar part of your life and you're working to be a butterfly with Uranus direct. Uranus will go all the way to 27 Taurus this year. So you will birth the butterfly this year, Libra, but the wings will be wet. You'll birth the butterfly, but you won't be able to yet fly. But you are now going through that metamorphosis period with Uranus direct. With Mercury sextiling Neptune, you've got to make sure your emotional needs and your thoughts about your family are in alignment with your lifestyle. Your life and your family must be on the same page. Your emotional foundation and your emotional groundedness must be in alignment with your lifestyle. Your lifestyle cannot disrupt your emotional groundedness. Your family cannot disrupt your work or your day-to-day life. So family and work, emotions and work style, they have to all be simpatico now with Mercury sextiling Neptune next Friday. All righty. I'm going to do another drink here. This is, you know how many glasses I have behind me here? like 10 for a 3-hour show. Scorpios. Scorpios are having to innovate how they feel about themselves. So it's time now, Scorpio, to raise the vibe of how you feel day to day. You cannot allow yourself to slip into old negative. You must heal all trauma. You must heal all puddles and let them dry up. You must heal all issues with your childhood. Scorpios must rise to a new emotional foundation, a new emotional frequency for the new era. Once you have your feelings about yourself rise to a higher degree, then your feelings about family, the world, politics, career, feelings about everything else now will then have to rise to the next degree. Okay. And in the new era, Scorpios are going to be the signs that help us feel better. Say what? Yes. Scorpios are going to be the ones that help us feel better. So it is Scorpios who are going to raise the emotional frequency of the earth. Scorpios are going to be the peaceful warriors, as I like to call them now, the peaceful warriors that will help us fight that emotional crime. And so Scorpios are going to be really the ones who help us to purify our emotional field and raise to a higher level. And they're going to set a new ground zero for how the world feels to be on. Now, it starts with you feeling better yourself. Okay. We're talking about a 24-year transit when I say the new era. Uranus direct means it's now time to take your relationships to the new level. Relationships must go to the new level. And I don't think you're meant to abandon anybody, by the way, although that's your first go-to. Goodbye. I think really what has to happen is that you have to figure out how to make it work on a higher and higher level. And some of that is the emotional stuff that you bring to the table, because Uranus is going to square the sun later this month. So some of what's in the way of relationships is how you feel about things, and your feelings are what's getting in the way. Sometimes it's the person you're relating to, and they're bringing stuff to the table. So it's not one-sided, but it's now time for relationships to go to the next level for Scorpios. And those are all relationships, by the way, to every kind of person, animal, place, or thing. Mercury sextiling Neptune says you've got to get your attitude onto a certain alignment, and that attitude has got to be completely aligned with your heart. Your mind cannot operate away from the heart. That's the Mercury sextiling Neptune. Your heart and your mind must be on the same page at every moment. That also means that your plans for life must be 100% in line with your heart. If you're having to sacrifice your heart, you're doing it wrong, okay? See how I went dark there? If you have to sacrifice your heart, you are doing it wrong. You have planned it incorrectly. There's a solution you haven't seen. Look again. Look and see what's not being seen. Look again. Okay, so aligning a mind and attitude with self-love and direction. All right, that's the Scorpios. Good luck. I think you'll do it. Sagittariuses, the unicorns. The unicorns are having to innovate their thoughts of themselves and their vibration of themselves. So it's now time to have higher thoughts about yourself, eliminate self-doubt, eliminate second guessing, eliminate questioning, eliminate doubt. Go with what you think is right. End of story, especially as the way you think about yourself. Once you have a higher vibration of the way you think about yourself, all of your thoughts, all of your communication, everything you're going to do. So interestingly enough, in the age of Aquarius, Sagittarius will teach us how to think. And Geminis are teaching us what to believe. So Geminis and Sagittarius are flipping roles in the age of Aquarius. That said, you've got to get right with your thoughts, and you've got to get right with the way you communicate. And it's time to take the conversation to a higher vibration. Uranus direct says it's also time to take daily work, and it's time to take your daily lifestyle to a higher vibration. Okay, so now time to move higher in the way you live. That means obviously away from toxins, obviously away from abusive work situations, obviously away from dangerous equipment. Sagittarius need to live a higher quality lifestyle with Uranus direct. Mercury sextiling Neptune says you now need to be mindful of your abundance and how you're going to make money, and that has to be in alignment with your emotions. So you can no longer allow money to disrupt your family or your emotional foundation. You can no longer push yourself that throws you off emotional balance. You have to stay emotionally grounded and secure, and you have to make sure that your money and the way you make money also maintains that emotional security and the ability to stay grounded. All right. Capricorns, the Captivators. Capricorns are now going to be raising the frequency of their self-worth. You're now taking the definition of self-worth to a higher degree. What does that mean? It means ultimately self-worth cannot be based on outer things. Self-worth must be completely frequency-based, completely energy-based. So this is where Capricorns are going to revolutionize the planet. They're going to change our financial system to energy. You are going to innovate the economy. You're going to innovate how we make money. You're going to birth conscious capitalism. The Captivators are going to make ascension profitable. But it starts with you shifting your frequency to value yourself based on a vibe, not value yourself based on a bank account or something outside of yourself. So this is the big change. And that's what changes the world economy, is the Capricorns changing on the inside. Now, once you innovate your self-worth, you will then innovate your ability to make money and to how you do business and start to invest in higher frequency business and higher frequency investments. So your investments will soon follow suit. You'll be investing in people, places, and things based on the vibe, maybe not so much based on the portfolio. Uranus direct says Capricorns must also now innovate their personal dreams and take their heart to a higher level. So it's time for Capricorns to go for greater love, personal dreams, creativity, aim for the sky, aim for the impossible. Okay. It's now time to go high, to let your heart be what motivates you as a captivator. That said, with Mercury and Capricorn sextiling Neptune, you must be very clear about who you are and who you are not and what you will do or you won't do. So you're being tested on bringing your behavior to the new paradigm. And that must be in alignment with your thoughts and your plans. So your plans and your behavior, your character and defensiveness, and your ideas and communication, they must be all in synergy, how you think and what you do. So you must do what you say. And I guess you can say what you do. Aquariuses, happy birthday, Aquas. I love my Aquas. Aquas, you must now raise the vibration of the way you treat yourself. So the way you treat yourself is going to ultimately be the determination as whether you're high or low vibe. If you call yourself stupid, that's low vibe. If you call yourself brilliant but undiscovered, that's high vibe. So it's time to raise how you respond to yourself and your thoughts and your deeds and your feelings and everything else. And as soon as you've got that down to where you're treating yourself in this new high vibe perspective, you then raise the vibration of all of your behavior and all of your responses. So Aquariuses have been, I think, at time to time, a little snarky sometimes because they do believe in tough love. And I don't know if that gets the best result. So you're going to be called to raise how you respond, how you say it, when you trigger, when you don't trigger. It's time to take that to a higher frequency. Now, with Pluto in your sign for the next 24 years, Aquariuses are going to transform the way humans behave and what humans do. That's your contribution to the new era. You're going to show us how to do it. You're going to show us what to do and what not to do. You're going to show us how to be individuals and how to be unique and how to be authentic and how to be transparent and how to ghost. So you're going to be the teachers of how we do it and how we behave. Now, Uranus, your ruling planet in Taurus stationing direct, means your emotional foundation has to go higher. You've got to have more pillows, satin sheets, better self-nurturing, more affection, more cuddling, more softness. So you need a lot more nurturing, groundedness, softness. You need a home that's higher vibration. Also look to feng shui to raise the vibration in your home and your family situation. Mercury is saying you've got to be very clear about who you are in relationship to God and make sure your spiritual thoughts and ideas are in alignment with your money making. So money and God have to be on the same page for Aquariuses. You have to be making money, preaching God, and preaching God has got to make you some money. Okay. They both have to be. And how you make money has to be in alignment with your spirituality as well. And your spirituality has to make money. It can't be just on Sundays anymore. And this is part of how I think we evolve into the new age, is that Aquariuses are aligning these two forces right now. Okay. And then drum roll, please. The Pisces. Pisces are the new dream weavers. And it's now time to get in alignment with your own personal faith. You are here to have faith in yourself and to find the vibration of what that faith feels like. So it's time to feel faithful about yourself. All right. that faith in yourself by the end of next week rises to a higher spiritual perspective. So Pisces are ascending to a higher spiritual perspective, which is interesting that that's the last thing they do at the birth of the age of Aquarius. Very fascinating there, very compelling in that regard, right? And with Pluto and Aquarius, Pisces are going to show humanity the real relationship to God. They're going to reveal to us how it works in heaven. They're going to reveal to us reincarnation, past lives, subconscious mysteries. You're going to be the one that pulls across the veil of what really goes on in the spiritual architecture of higher self. So it starts with having faith in yourself and then leads to you innovating your own spiritual perspective on your own life, okay? The masses will follow if you do it yourself. You must practice whatever it is you preach. Very, very important. Uranus direct says it's now time to take your thinking to a higher level. You're thinking too grounded, too literal. You're thinking based on the past. It's now time to think completely different. And by the way, that thinking is completely in alignment with higher faith as well. They have to be coordinated, the two, as they do energetically sextile. So take your ideas, your communication. It does mean it's time for Pisces to go for the gold and go for the big ideas. Yes, it is time for that. With Mercury and Capricorn sextiling Neptune in your sign Pisces, you now need to align your social ambitions with who you are. You must basically be exactly who you are in person as you are in public. So we must see the same Pisces. No more hidden Pisces, okay? No more hiding in the closet. No more one fish going one way, one fish going the other way. As far as we see it, your actions and behavior must be 100% in alignment with who you are in society and what you plan to do. And really, it's the society part that can go sour. Being who you are, you've always been good at being who you are. The problem is you weren't that person usually when you went to work or when you talked to people or for what you signed up for in society. You did things that weren't really who you were, and that's why you were unhappy. So Pisces must align their character and action plan with their social ambition. That is, my friend, the way to go for the new era and Pisces. All right. Very exciting times. Thanks for sticking through on that one. That went a bit longer than I thought. Keep streaming, though. We're going to have a little intermission here. We're going to play the Zodiac Weather in a commercial. And when I come back, Helena Woods, astro cartographer, astrology teacher, and published author will be with me here in the Astro Mingle. Keep streaming. Zodiac Weather is from Saturday, January 27th to Friday, February 2nd, 2024. Looking ahead at the weekend forecast. Over the weekend, steps 7 and 8 means you are wrapping up and coming to a commitment of your frequency, and there are many, many aspects. Let's drill down. On Saturday, it's sunny and flying. Step 7 means Neptune rules the day. So this is where you are spiritually learning why it's time to ascend to a new vibe and to commit to a leap of faith. But there's a lot going on in the planets. The Sun squares Jupiter. Uranus stations direct. Mercury conjoins Mars, and Venus squares the nodes. In simple terms, life changes dramatically on Saturn Day with the moon in Leo. On Sunday, it's sunny and potent. Step 8 means Saturn rules the day. As the moon moves from Leo to Virgo, you are committing to your new vibration on the inside and opening up to acting and manifesting what you want. And again, there are many transits. Venus sextiles Saturn. Mars squares the North Node. Mercury trines Uranus, and Venus trines Jupiter. Then looking ahead to the 5-day weekday forecast, over the next week ahead, you commit to this new inner vibration, put it into motion, and then start to explore how your daily life can elevate to new frequencies. On Monday, it's sunny and vigilant. Step 9 means this is a Martian-ruled day. It's time to put your new vibration into motion and take the helm. And with Mars trining Uranus, you are connecting business plans with the ability to make money. On Tuesday, it's sunny and self-aware. Step 10 indicates that the Earth rules the day, so you are manifesting a new inner vibration. It's time to move ahead with full steam, and the moon in Libra may have you going back and forth about your relationship to yourself. On Wednesday, it's sunny and doing some clearing. Step 11 means Virgo rules the day, so this is the day where you will come into a vibrational integrity and also notice whether or not your health is in integrity. You're also releasing prior commitments you have to other people and other things, and the moon in Libra now will make you focus perhaps on your daily relationships. On Thursday, it's sunny and peaceful. Step 12 means Jupiter rules the day. This is a day to learn and explore new lifestyle vibrations that are possible. You are navigating the course you want to take. The moon is in Libra and then moves into Scorpio, but life may feel like it's in slow motion because there's an 11-hour void of course. And then on Friday, it's foggy but alert. Step 13 means this is a Grandmaster day where Uranus rules the day. This is the day where you're innovating your life's vibration. You're thinking higher on how you respond. And with Mercury sextiling Neptune, you are connecting your business plans with your spiritual destiny. And with the moon in Scorpio, you are drawing the emotional line.
It's serious joy, joy, joy.
Astrology guidance? You can enjoy an entire month of personalized astrology services for just $3.99. At Serious Joy, we pride ourselves on providing astrology enthusiasts with exactly what they're looking for. Daily personalized inspiration that speaks directly to the heart. Sign up today and you'll receive personalized messages straight to your phone 7 days a week. And that's just half of it. You'll also get access to our exclusive members-only site with tons of amazing features. Experience the most accurate astrology service on the web at SeriousJoy.com.
Hello and welcome to Astro Mingle, the spiritual podcast that mingles with the talented light workers and the most compelling influencers of our time. As an astrology service, we're super interested in the variety of different facets of astrology and horoscopes and conscious expressions. And tonight's guest has crafted herself as a unique specialist in the astrological arts. Helena Woods is an astro cartographer, author, locational astrologer, and a very free human spirit, currently living around the world and personally experiencing and studying on her own astrocartography lines. Originally from San Diego, she moved to France in 2018, where she found her magical Venus line home in the world, and she learned locational astrology for the first time. She now teaches and guides others on the power of world placements. Please send waves of love and gratitude to my guest tonight, Step 26 Taurus, Helena Woods. Hello.
Hello. Hi. Oh, it's so cool to be here and to talk about this amazing technique.
I love it. And I was going to say backstage, but I held myself back. First of all, we have a lot in common, girl. I have a moon at 21 degrees Leo also.
Oh
so
my
the exact
God.
same moon degree. Your sun is on my Venus, 26 degrees Taurus. So I'm totally feeling it. Yeah. So when I saw your stuff, I totally vibe with your happiness and your authentic joy that you go bounce around the planet. Like
I know
her current opening like video on her channel is like, she's just like fabulous in France, I think. And she's walking down with a camera. So I love your energy, but that's me loving myself too.
Yes.
Thanks for being on.
Reflection. We see the light in each other, you know?
And in the world. I think that's partly what we do, right?
Yes,
like
absolutely.
in others. The other thing I find interesting is the timing of this. I've been looking into astrocartography more deeply. It's something that always came up in readings, but I didn't have the time to study because I kind of go off in my own course in astrology and become an expert in my own direction. And I literally was looking for lines of where I should write my book. And then Noelle tells me we have you booked next week. I was like, holy shit, yes, amazing.
Yes.
So I have a lot of personal questions to ask.
I love it.
But let's start with the foundation. And first of all, being who you are, what kind of a spiritual childhood did you have? Like, did you grow up with a house that was open to these ideas?
Oh, yeah.
Or are you a rebel? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up already just innately very spiritual. I grew up as a kid writing in my journal. I would write, "Dear universe, dear God," I would get responses back, like letters. Like I would just write to my intuition all the time as a kid, throughout my teenage years, high school. And so I had developed from a very early age, like a relationship to something deeper, like presence, awareness, something deeper. But my mom, she wasn't really into the, intuition or writing or journaling as much, but she loved astrology. And so my mom, when I was born, she had her astrologer make like a packet of our synastry and my chart and like a whole packet of information about my birth chart. So as a kid, I was always like flipping through and reading and like looking at the wheel and the signs and all these things. And my mom would take me to astrology appointments like every few years we would do one. And
Wow.
so yeah, I would go to bookstores. There was a spiritual bookshop around the corner from my house. I used to walk there all the time, and I was always drawn to the astrology section more than any other section. And it was like that through college. And even when I was doing other things, I was really into acting. I was a performer. I was really like successful doing that as a kid and a teenager. And then I was always drawn to astrology, but it was always a side thing. It was always, a side thing, but I was always encouraged to just do what I love.
And
And
follow what you love.
yeah,
Were
no
you,
judgment.
and you went to New York to be an actress, which I
Yeah,
think is very moon at 21 degrees.
yeah.
And that's in your 10th house, if I'm not mistaken, too, right?
Yeah.
Like, so
On the
conjunction,
MC, yeah.
conjunction midheaven. Yeah. So, how did you go from being an actress to morphing into astrology? How did that shift?
It's the weirdest flow. It just flowed naturally. I was doing acting. I realized I didn't want to be in the business anymore. I loved performing and being on stage and being on camera, but I didn't love the business of the industry. So I went into photography. I got a camera. I was trying to find a way out of something that I spent my entire life doing and I didn't know anything else. So I got a camera and I started doing photography on subjects, portraits, children, families. Did that for 5 years. I ran a business doing that, learned
Wow.
entrepreneurship. Yeah, it was great. It was fun. But it didn't have the ease of the success that like astrology did. So I was doing that for 5 years. When COVID hit, I morphed into YouTube. So I started doing filmmaking of like
Wow.
short films and talking about travel and France and like life in abroad and what it was like. And then as I was making YouTube videos in COVID and all while that was happening, when I moved to France, I was always studying astrology, going deeper and deeper and deeper into it. And then I found astrocartography. And I was like wondering, why do I feel so at home in France? Why is this my place in the world? And I've never felt this anywhere else. I've traveled the world, I've experienced different energies and themes in different parts of the world, but why is this my home? That's what got me in astrocartography was when I moved to France. And so throughout all that YouTube, I was still doing this work, but I wasn't talking about it. And then in 2021, I decided to like go public with it.
Hmm. So you never really got into like the chart reading. I mean, not professionally with clients in the beginning. That wasn't your path. It was more about learning for your own sake and
Yeah.
personal
Oh,
yummy. And
yeah.
what do you think in your chart gave you the travel bug? Were you thinking that you were gonna like travel the world and take pictures at the time?
Oh yeah, I wanted to be a travel blogger. I wanted to be a
Okay.
travel, like my dream was to be on the Travel Channel and like be like Samantha, the girl, I can't remember her name, Samantha something, but she was like a travel host. Like I wanted to be on camera talking about places in the world. But yeah, it was just the love and the obsession with astrology that I've had my whole life. And it was like I just decided I don't like I think there was the fear of coming out and saying I'm an astrologer. I've been judged
Hmm.
for so many years on even on my YouTube channel. There was and the comments were so mean about being an astrologer, and so I was always just so private about it. And so I always read charts. I did it for my friends, I did it for people in my life, but I just never publicly talked about it or did it professionally until 2021.
Interesting. I had a similar kind of rite of passage too. Started in Hollywood, and then I was like, "Oh, this would be a great like video horoscopes would be the greatest Hollywood thing." But even then, I was still in denial, thinking I
Yeah,
was going to take over Hollywood, not realizing no, you're a closet astrologer. Admit it.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
so, and blending the two. But I think that's interesting. And so, when you got to France, were you just overwhelmed with how it felt, or something like? And then you
Complete.
went to look up your astrocartography about it. How did you find astrocartography officially? When did that bleed in? Was it early or was it later?
It was early. I had gotten here in August of 2018, and I was actually in Amsterdam at the time. I was listening to a podcast about Earth vortices or like vortex points in the world. Like there's different Earth
Yes.
chakra points. And I
Hmm.
just remember listening to a podcast and I was just like, wow, that's so resonant. Like the fact that places have energies, locations in the world feel different or have different storylines. And so I just did a Google search while I was in Amsterdam, September of 2018, like, do places have energies? And astrocartography came up like on a Google search result. And that just led me into books and research and YouTube and everything I could find, mentors, booking readings with people, learning as much as I could for years. And yeah, just a life, like just passion.
And since you're an astrologer, I'll just geek out a little bit and say you had Uranus in your sixth house at the time. So you were seeking a higher vibration in life anyways. Like you're on the quest for something that felt better, I think, right? Which is
Yeah.
interesting. And
Yeah. Are you using Placidus or Holstein?
I actually use equal, which is sort of
Oh,
like
cool. Okay.
I love equal. I mean, and
Cool.
I'll tell you the story off camera, like how I went down the equal path, but
Cool.
I love equal. I think astrology is all about like you find your niche and then you can connect and get your truth. And for me, equal gives me the truth like so
Awesome.
well. So
Cool.
an equal house, it was in your sixth.
Yes.
Disclaimer, it's not all be equal.
Yeah. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the history of cartography, which I hadn't learned until I watched you on Chris Brennan's podcast, by the way. It was a great one. It was discovered recently, right? It was discovered in the 70s by one person. Would you mind sharing with us that story?
Yeah, well, relocation astrology has been around for a long time. People have
Okay.
been looking at relocated charts. Basically, you just take your birth chart, you relocate it to a new place in the world. You have to adjust the time zone, the location, things like that. But when you readjust the relocated chart, you can learn about the story and how the planets move to different houses or different areas of life in different parts of the world. So you're getting like this new story in terms of place. So that's been around for forever. But in the 70s, Jim Lewis brilliantly created this mapping software where basically he took that concept of relocated charts and he put it on a map so that visually in the world you could see where all the planets were angular all across the world. So you could see if Saturn was rising in this part of the world, Saturn was setting over here in the other part of the world. So you could literally see the points where all those planets were angular at different parts of the world. And that was in the 70s. And since then, we've come such a long way. We've got parents, we've got local space, which was created by Michael Irwine, which he was on the astrology podcast as well. And so we've got all these new techniques. We have geodetic astrology, which is looking at world historical events, and mundane astrology, political climate change. All of these things is in relation to location and so much more. And so Jim Lewis was the person who created this map software, and it's amazing what it can do.
What I'm amazed is how the astrology community embraced it, or did they? Was it like fringe and then it sort of like just turned on and everyone got on board? Because it seems like
Yeah.
when you try to introduce something new to the astrology community,
I
they're like
know,
right away, like, no.
right? I know. I know. Even if it's like just different systems and stuff, like people are so bad, like anti-tropical, it's so funny. But
I know,
yeah,
I know.
I know. It's like, whoa, we all do our thing. But yeah, I think what he was doing something so ahead of the time, and it was so innovative and kind of very Uranus in energy. It was very different.
Yeah.
And I think in the beginning, it took a lot of time. Now, though, it's so popular. Now, like in the last 6 years, 7 years, it's grown in popularity. A lot of great teachers like Chris McRae was an amazing locational astrologer. She specialized in geodetic astrology, but she was really big in the early 2000s and the 90s. So it's gotten more popular as time has gone on.
Yeah, indeed. And I love the idea. So just to kind of give a graphical thing, like the earth has her own currents, what you were talking about. That's, where she has her nervous system of energy on the planet. And this is like mapping how Saturn's gravitational wave sort of like zips around the earth. And what I find interesting is like this astrocartography seems to be relevant when one of the 4 points of your chart becomes close to a planet. Is that correct? So it's like, and which is interesting is the 4 points of your chart is the cross. That's the sign of Earth. That's incarnation, right? Like, so it's basically looking at the 4 points of the cross. If a planet goes near one of the 4 points of the cross, it suddenly becomes an activated zone of Earth for you. Is that correct?
Exactly. And when we get close to those points in the world, they're kind of like power lines. There's a lot of energy there when a planet is right on an angle, especially within 3 degrees. And so, yeah, it's really interesting. And you could see when you pull up your map, you've got those lines going all around the world, the planets when they're on angles.
Yeah. And tell us about those 4 points. I guess since it's come up organically here, what are the 4 points that the planets can be by? Because that was the one thing I wasn't aware of at first, but I realized like my Saturn line is in 4 places on the Earth.
Yes.
Basically,
Mhm.
every planet you have is in 4 places on the Earth, and they're divided by the midheaven, the IC, the ascendant, and the descendant, right?
Yep.
But tell us what the differences are if they're aligned to those points.
Yeah. So the ascendant is the most important, I think, because the ascendant rules you, the native, the person, the physical body, but also the identity and sense of self. When a planet is on the ascendant or when it's rising in an area, that energy of that planet, that archetype is emanating from you. So you're literally containing that energy. It's a very active place, especially when we're looking at the relocated chart and that ascendant and that planet is in the first house because it's angular. So there's that sense of like active energy that you're emitting from a location. The opposite of that is the descendant, which you could see on your map as SC, and it's when the planet was setting in an area. And this is about other people. So other people in your life, partnerships, others, the energy that emanates from other people, but also kind of, I think, subconsciously what we're attracting in our lives from other people in our external environments. So that's the descendant. Big about partnership too. And we're looking at like places in the world where people are important to us or relationships are really significant in a certain part of the world. We're looking at those descendant lines, I find very important. We also have the midheaven, the MC, which is the highest point of visibility. This often has to do with career, vocation, your public image, your social reputation. It also can be government related places as well, especially for people that work in government, collective work. And then the opposite of that is the most private, personal, more hidden part of the chart, as opposed to the most public part. And that's the IC, which represents your roots, your family, your traditions, your home life, your grounding, and your ancestry too. So the IC is really nice for like home, settling, grounded. I find IC lines are great for finding home or just feeling very settled in terms of place.
And that's what France was, your Venus IC?
Yeah, yeah. And
Interesting.
I felt it immediately. And that's the thing with these lines, like you can feel it immediately. It's not something that like the relocated chart I find is a story that takes time and you settle into that new chart. But the lines you could feel right away. And I felt it immediately, my Venus IC line. And I love it. And I also have Saturn rising there too. I also have a Saturn ascendant line very close to me. And I love that too. But it depends on timing. If you're going through a Saturn transit and you're on a Saturn line, that can be a really hard place, heavy, it can be very heavy in feeling, but living there when you don't have a hard transit can be really nice and hardworking and good for developing maturity, responsibility, things like that.
That's interesting. So in a way, it's like so France, to use your approach, you really opened up to being who you were, because Venus to me is opening up. So you open up to your who you are at the core, your emotional truth, your authenticity. You open up to your spiritual history in France. So you're just like simpatico with your truth. And then Saturn on your ascendant line meant that you started to really shine in your power, I guess. Like, so it really just opened you up and made you sing, which is why
Yeah.
you're calling it home.
Yeah, I know. And I just take back authority too. And also going into the relocated chart, I don't know when you're looking at charts at like seeing like the rulers of the angles and things like that, but like the ruler of my ascendant, everything went to the ninth house. And the ninth house, I think of publishing, I think of travel, I think of astrology, I think of teaching.
Yeah.
All these, the ruler of my career and the ruler of my sense of self all went into that ninth house. So that was a big thing for me too, was that ninth house like activation in my life that was kind of dormant for most of my life.
And that came from the Saturn being on your ascendant, is what you're
Yeah,
saying, like the Saturn
yeah,
ascendant line.
yeah.
I look at ninth house as life purpose too. So you
Mm,
found your purpose there. You found
yeah,
who you are. To me,
yeah.
the third decan of the ninth house is purpose, the closest to the line there. That's
Ah,
interesting. Um, so if we want to express ourselves, we want to aim towards the ascendants,
yeah.
or we want to shine. It seems like if you shine, kind of like a Leo or an Aries, if you want to shine bright, you aim towards your ascendant. If you want to get down to your core of who you are or feel relaxed or at home, it would be the IC.
Mhm.
If you want to meet someone or work out your karma with someone, maybe it'd be the descendant, kind of
Mhm.
energetically. And then the midheaven will be career, legacy, what you're going to leave behind on the planet kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
totally. Yeah.
And then, of course, you have where lines can cross. Now, how close? Here's a big question. How close to the line do you have to be? And I know that you work with a longitudinal, which
Yeah.
is called what's it called? A
The latitude lines are the parents.
parents. Okay.
Those lines that go at a latitude, that's a 75-mile orb, north and south. So 75 miles north, 75 miles south for the parents, those
The
latitude lines.
parents.
Longitudinal lines, those have a huge distance. And some astrocartographers use different degrees. Jim Lewis used up to 700. I'm usually, my go-to is 300. You can go more than that, 600 miles as well. But I
Okay.
find that people really feel the energy of a planetary line when they're within 300 miles of main planetary line, the ACG lines.
So 300 topped north to south, just to be clear for those who aren't
Oh no, 300 on either
left to
side.
east to west. So 300 east to west and only 70 north to south.
75 north to south for the parents, yeah.
75. Okay. So the parents is north to south. And then that was my question. Because quite often, and so you have to sit there with a ruler or something to figure out 300 miles. But
Yeah, yeah. And it's
sometimes it seems like it's like 100 miles away from where I'm living or whatnot, I've noticed. So it was still
yeah.
affecting.
Oh yeah, and that's one of the biggest misconceptions I see with astrocartography. If you go on like TikTok or Instagram, they'll say if you're not on a line, there's nothing there. It's like, no, you got to measure it. And you could use like Solar Fire, Astro Gold has a measurement tool, but it's really easy now with the online softwares. You can just use the tool and measure the distance, and it will tell you how many miles it is.
It really is. It's pretty brilliant. And so do you find that it's logical sense that if it's on the line, it's like cross-eyed crazy, and if it's a little bit away, it's less intense? So is it more intense as you are more conjunct?
Yeah, it's more intense the closer you get to that line, for sure, for sure. And you'll still feel it when you're off of the line, but it's almost like there's a sense of urgency, like activeness, like purpose, like drivenness, like there's something motivating you or motivating some area of your life when you're right on a line. It's like you're turning the dial all the way up on a planet.
Mm-hmm. And then the intersection is what makes these. So it's only with an intersection that you have that distance rule, or is it just with a line that doesn't intersect? Do you also have the same rule of
Oh
distance?
yeah. You still have that same rule of distance no matter what. But what's fascinating about when two lines intersect is that they create that parent there. And that parent is formed when two ACG lines cross. And so that area where that parent is formed initially is really powerful for that particular story. So those are like really neat spots in the world when you've got those intersections, because those are where the parents are formed. They're very powerful spots.
I also noticed, I don't even know what it was. It was on astro.com. They had these circles that said things are more intense, but it wasn't near a parent. What was that?
Yeah, those are the midpoints.
Oh, those are midpoints.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
there's a midpoints between these lines, basically, and there's a
Yeah.
calculation. And some would be like in the middle of the ocean, probably where my plane would disappear. I don't know.
Yeah, no. I think it was someone talked about it. It's like zenith points. Someone also mentioned something like I read somewhere recently where it was like basically they're points where they're high activity of like public being seenness, like very high profile places. So if you wanted something more private, more personal, let more privacy in your life, being on those points can feel like a lot of energy because it's almost like that whole energy is concentrated in that one spot.
It's like almost like a vortex of energy, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I've never been to one yet. But I'm
But
excited to explore and experiment with it.
I have to be very careful going on any type of cruise because mine seem to be all in the middle of ocean somewhere. So
Oh
I just want
yeah.
to, it's not like I want to cruise and want to jump. Maybe that's why people jump overboard and stuff. They hit
Oh my
those moments,
gosh.
something
Yeah.
kind of funky. Yeah, that's funny. Um, if someone's brand new to this,
Mhm.
where would you have them begin? Obviously, probably where they're living. What would be your advice?
Oh yeah, first thing I would look is like where they're living now. What lines are they closest to? Astrocartography lines. What planet is it? What angle is it? And then look at the parents would be the second thing I would look at. Um, there's more things you can add to it as well, but those are like the two most important things when you're looking at your map for the first time.
Got you. And it seems as though it'd be fascinating. People, so do you feel, for instance, given this, astrocartography and the energy that, for instance, when a family moves as a child, when I was a kid, we moved every 2 years. So part of my digging into this since discovering it has been like, what the hell was going on? And as I look around where I was across the country, because we lived in like 10 or 11 cities. So I was actually, I was being introduced to my whole chart just from my dad's career. And it's like, do you feel that that's faded?
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm a big believer that everything's divinely timed and where you're gonna be is where you're supposed to be. What's for you will not go past you. And so when there's a pull to go somewhere, there's a purpose for it behind it. I believe that for sure, 100%.
And children, I personally believe that anything prior to your Saturn return is sort of fated. Is
Yeah.
part of our recreation of what we need to learn. And
Yeah.
so it wasn't my choice to move to those cities.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
haven't looked at my brothers yet because I was like, was I driving the family or was everyone, how
Yeah.
is everyone being affected? So I'm going to study like when my brothers went south, when they were feeling good. I wonder, it's going to be an interesting little study there.
Yeah.
This brings up another interesting topic, which is past lives. Do
Mm,
you believe, like, you have Saturn in Pisces in your fourth house, which is
mm.
your home, right? So it's like, is it possible you were like a nun in France in a past life? Have you ever put that together?
I've never thought about that. That's hilarious though. I love that. I mean, I definitely feel past life connection with France. Absolutely. It felt like remembrance. Um, but I do find there's some lines where consistently for people bring up, I feel I had a past life here. And it's always
Okay.
Pluto IC lines, Pluto IC specifically. It's something I consistently see with people. Also nodal lines, like the lunar nodes, when the lunar node is on the IC, that's also a point where there's like a calling when that node is in the fourth house. But
North
yeah,
or south? Doesn't
yeah,
matter.
north or south, I find. Um, so Pluto on the IC and then the lunar nodes in the fourth house is like a big one that I consistently see where people bring it up. So like I don't ask them, but they'll bring it up, and I find those are the lines that keep coming up for people.
Hmm. Are you finding that you're doing so? Have you had a past life awakening in any one of these? I mean, it seems like you travel all over the world,
Yeah,
like just
yeah,
from watching your videos and stuff, which is very cool.
yeah,
Um, you have Sagittal your second, so you making money out of travel. It makes
yeah,
total sense.
yeah.
Um, do you find that you are being guided to, because I do, readings professionally. A lot of times my clients will be like, I'm feeling so pulled to go to Egypt. And like, boom, I get a flash of their past life in Egypt. Like as soon as the client says it opens the door for me, I have a flash and I see it. So I have found just from my readings that my clients are drawn naturally to their past life. Then they'll come back next year, they'll get their reading. They'll be like, oh my God, I was walking in the pyramid, something took over. So they is, completely confirmed. Yes, it was a past life. There was an awakening there. I've studied, ascended masters and their teachings, and they claim that human conscious history is stored in the space time of human Earth. So,
Wow.
like your memories of the past life in France are stored in France, and your memories of past life in Texas are stored in Texas. So, we have to
Oh,
return to that space to download the Akashic, from what I've been told.
yes.
Are
Yeah.
you finding that as you travel the world, you're just having these wake up calls, or is it hit and miss? I mean,
It depends on the place. France was a huge place of connecting with like the Akashic records, past lives. Like that was a place where that opened up immensely for me was when I moved to France. So that definitely feels so resonant. Yeah, like some places, like I always felt a past life connection in Egypt. Went to Egypt. I'm on a Mars ascendant line. Is one of the hardest places in the world for me. So, yeah, it really depends. Yeah, I wouldn't say there's any lines that places felt that way. I would say the UK is a big one. And I've got a Mercury IC line going through there, and that's been a really a place where I get a lot of psychic downloads and messages in the UK specifically. But yeah, nothing that like really is like a big story that I have that comes to mind.
okay. And in fairness, you're pre-Saturn return, right? So
I'm in it. Yeah, I'm in it
yeah,
right
you're in
now.
it right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I found that like my past lives are very subconscious pre-Saturn return, and they didn't start opening up till around age 33. And when I mean opening up, I mean boom, third eye vision took over, staring out
Yeah.
the window, lost my train of thought, like took over vision. But prior to that, I was very skeptical. And I have a
Yes.
feeling it's just sort of how consciousness wakes. I don't know, but you're
Oh,
exceptional anyways. With Saturn and Pisces, I think you have special powers. So you said you were a bit more psychic with on your Mercury line. That's interesting.
The Mercury IC line. Yeah, that's where a lot of like downloads and psychic messages and memories and flashbacks came up when I was in the UK. Yeah.
That makes sense because you're putting your mind. I believe the fourth house is the foundation of our incarnation. So
Mhm,
you're putting your
totally.
mind sort of at the feet of your existence. Did you find any paranormal along Neptune? Have you played on your Neptune line?
Oh
Can't believe I'm
yeah.
asking these
Oh
questions.
yeah, I haven't been to my Neptune directly. That's my plan. So my plan for the Saturn return is to go to all of my lines and document the whole thing and teach people from what I've learned, made mistakes, experiences I had, like just to share it and document it for others. But I've been to Neptune parens. So like I live on a Neptune node, a lunar node parent latitude, and I've been to like my sun Neptune latitude, and I feel so dreamy on those lines. I like the sun Neptune a lot more because it's more creative. I remember I was in Scotland at the time, and I would just go hiking and be in nature, and then I would go to a coffee shop and write poetry and songs. Like all of this just channeled stuff came out of me.
Mm.
Meditation in nature in a coffee shop when I was there on that sun Neptune latitude. And I wasn't like planning this or anything. It was I went to experience the energy, and then I would look at the lens and be like, whoa, that's insane. And then even now where I live in Metz, I live in Metz, France now, which is not my favorite. The Neptune node is a little too escapist for me. I want to escape things a lot more, go into my imagination being better than real life kind of energy. I don't prefer that. And so I'm hoping to move very soon. But the Neptune node's a little harder for me on like the more difficult side of Neptune.
Which point is it on, that Neptune line?
Yeah, the Neptune node the latitude is going right through Metz. So those latitude lines that go across the world.
Okay.
One that I live on right now in Metz is the Neptune node.
Okay. All right. So it's not a point like midheaven or ascend or whatever. It's just
No.
it's one of the lines. Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
one of the
Good
parents.
distinction. So this is interesting too, I found, and I want to get your opinion. I mean, I had this total obsession to move to Texas to be near my son. It's at one point, it just took me over, and I was making plans. I'm like, I've got to go. It had to do with the winter storm that happened there. And my son was nearly starving to death. And I was just like, damn it, I'm gonna have to go down there and teach you how to live. So like I head down there, I pack up everything or whatever. My friend who works for us, Robbie Hunt, she's an astrologer. She's like, do you realize your Chiron node is in Austin? And I was like, no, I didn't know my Chiron. And this was the year before my Chiron return. So I had this compulsion to move to my Chiron line before my Chiron return. By the way, I went down for 9 months. It was so intense. It completely smacked me on the ground. And as soon as my Chiron return was over, I'm like, I'm out of there. I had no interest in being there. So that was the first time I ever had empirical evidence of like having a major transit and being pulled to the line,
Totally.
being disgusted,
Yeah.
and then leaving. Actually, that's not true. I'm on my Pluto line right now.
Oh, are you? Which one?
You know what? I need to look. I should look before this. I'm not exactly sure. It's one of the things that's come to. I need to go back and look. Now that I've studied you, I need to go back and get even more finite.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I lived in LA, which is one of my north node points. I lived in LA following my career, and then shit broke down in LA, and I went running to Denver to be with my family, and that turned out to be my Pluto line. And I'll figure out what point. I'm sorry, I don't know. I'll look backstage. But Pluto was tough. So Pluto and Chiron have kicked my Astro.
Yeah. Yeah.
So are you being drawn to your Saturn line right now? Is that why you're in LA? What's
No,
out in
I'm
LA?
actually I'm drawn to this Moon MC line right now. Like I've just been feeling a pull, like I have to come here. It's interesting because Jupiter is crossing my descendant while I'm here. And it's also crossing my sun, and the sun rules my 10th house of career. So it's like I'm getting a transit that's ruling that part of my life on this Moon MC line. So logically, that's what I've been looking at, but I've been feeling this pull for a while. So it's really interesting how the timing matches up with what my intuition has been calling me to do.
The time he pulled you out there. But as you said, it's your Moon midheaven line?
Yeah, so it's my Moon midheaven line right through.
With your Moon in Leo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you know, Los Angeles is a Leo.
Is it?
If you run a chart for it, it's a Leo. So that's City of Angels. I mean, you were pulled to the City of Angels, which is a Leo town. It's so Leo fabulous. It's catwalk, darling. Like, it's the catwalk. You know what I mean? Like,
and it's weird because like I'm not someone that likes big cities or like noise or loud noise, like stimulation. I'm very sensitive to that stuff. But I felt like I had to come here, and it's bizarre and it's weird because ever since I've been here, every single day I've been here, it's just been expansion and growth and optimism and abundance and new things, opportunities coming in. And I really think it's that Jupiter transit that's activating this whole story.
Yeah, you speak a lot about Jupiter. That seems to be one of your faves.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Because every time I travel and time my travels with Jupiter crossings or Jupiter transits over the area. So it's like when you have Jupiter crossing that line that you have in a certain part of the world. So let's say you've got a Saturn line and Jupiter's crossing Saturn, right? That Saturn point. When you time your travels that way, there's something opening there for you. The last time I did this, I went to Estonia because I saw I had a good writing line over there. It was like a Mercury, Jupiter, parent latitude. So I was like, oh, I got to get some writing done. I'll go out there. I was on a Jupiter line there. As I went out there, I had a Jupiter crossing, and like just all these opportunities came up, including the astrology podcast with Chris Brennan, which was like a dream come true. So it was like,
And
pitch me.
Chris lives here in Denver. I've met him a few times. Like
Oh
he,
my gosh.
which is
Like,
ironic. Yeah.
I'm a huge fan. So like, I mean, when that happened, it was like, that's the Jupiter transit. Like, that's that. So yeah.
Interesting. So when you say crossing, are you talking about current transits? Just to be clear, you're not talking about lines crossing. You're saying that the current, like Jupiter currently is entering in your 7th house.
Yeah.
Currently.
Yeah.
Right.
But I'm also, the other thing is you can use, because you can also pull up transits for new places in the world. So for instance, when I was looking at the Estonia chart, you can see that Jupiter was crossing the Jupiter point at the same point. So if you pulled up, let's say you pulled up like a map software, like I use SolarFire, for instance, and you can see the Jupiter line is there in that area. As I was there, the Jupiter line, if you use the transits, you could see Jupiter line was moving and then hitting that same line in that
The
same
Jupiter conjunct to Jupiter, basically.
Yeah.
So your Jupiter point in your natal chart was conjuncted by Jupiter. So it was like a Jupiter return, basically. In a way.
No, I don't think it was I don't
Not
think
literal Jupiter return, but
it was an opposition.
okay.
But still, it was hitting that. It was a lot of Jupiter energy that was being activated at that point when I went there. And so it's the same thing that's happening right now in LA is I'm on a Jupiter ascendant line and a moon midheaven line as Jupiter is applying right now to this area.
Interesting. Is there anything in the software? I'm an Astro Gold guy because I'm a Mac daddy.
Totally.
Is there yeah, same company. But like are there any software that have any kind of algorithms that say like how to maximize on those transits? Like that's fascinating. Like for a travel agent, like you can almost have like a Zodiac travel agency where it's just like you're gonna see God if you go to Iceland in December of 2005, you know.
I know. Well, that's what I do. That's what I do with my clients is they come back and they're like, what time do I go this? I'm like, I can give you exact weeks of when to go, you know? But
wow.
like we've got to find a way to like make this an app or something. Like this is such an invaluable tool that people should have. The only software that I have found that's amazing is SolarFire, unfortunately, because I'm a Mac girl too. Like I do not like Windows. But I ended up getting a laptop so that I can get SolarFire because I was like, I need this software. Because with SolarFire, you could see so much. You could see like everything, like midpoints, aspects, like local space, timing, cyclocartography timing, which is looking at progressions and transits over the map. So I did end up getting SolarFire, but I love Astro Gold too, but they don't have a lot of the things that are needed for location.
Yeah, I don't get that. I mean, they're owned by the same company, aren't they? So it's like, oh, they're not? I thought they were. I thought they're developed by the same company. No.
Oh, I don't know, but people have emailed Astro Gold so many times saying, please add parents to the maps, map software. There's no parents. It's such a huge thing they need to add.
Astro Gold's pretty amazing, but still, yeah. There's a lot of SolarFire features that astrologers like you have to have both, you know, both basically.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I've got my Mac and I've got my Windows and I've got both softwares on either side. So for like readings and stuff.
That's great. So there's a lot that can be done with this. Now, what about relationships? I'm very interested. So it's like I would see as my family moved, my mom would get depressed in one city, my dad would feel good. You know, like, so in a way it has an effect on relationships because maybe the a-hole in you comes out across a certain line.
Totally.
And like a lot of times you hear about couples that, you know, fall in love in one city. So obviously that was a benefit city for both of them because they fell in love, they found each other, but then they move and the relationship starts to fall apart. And they're always like, it's this place, but it makes me wonder, it's like, maybe it's not the place, maybe it's the lines. Like maybe it brings out a certain part of one of the partnerships. So do you factor in relationships at all? Like could you tell me where my girl is? Like, where will I find love? Like, what would you do to find the love of your life, for instance? What would you recommend?
Yeah, what I do is first I look at descendant lines because those are places where people typically meet others. Even if you don't meet that person on that line, let's say you have a beautiful Venus descendant line in Australia. Let's say you don't go to Australia, but that person that's really important in your life was born there. Like that's where they were born, on that Venus descendant line. That's a fascinating world. Yes. And that's because I've noticed this consistently work for two ways. One, you meet a partner close to a descendant line, or you're close. There's activity in your 7th house. There has to be activity usually in the 7th house for like a part.
Oh, I think she just froze in a
meeting of someone.
We got her back. Sorry, we had a moment there.
Oh,
Thank God. I think we went through space time. Our lines crossed there.
yeah. The descendant lines are like big. The descendant lines and the seventh house and the relocated chart. So seeing more activity in the seventh house, more planets there can show more storyline or activity in that part of the life of meeting a spouse. But the second way that you can use this is looking at areas where you have those descendant lines. So even if you don't go there, knowing that those parts of the world are places where other people are important for you is really cool.
So set my Tinder to that city is what you're saying?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you definitely could. I've seen this work out for so many people where they met their partner like overseas on a trip, or their partner was from the area, like they were born in Hawaii, but they live in New York. And so, yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So you're saying you've made these patterns after the fact where it's like you turn out that, their line was there and your line was there.
Oh yeah,
What would be
a
go
lot of
ahead.
what I've learned is working with clients. Like that is because I already knew, the basics of the planets and the angles and what all that means. What does it mean when you've got a blend of planets, right? That's just learning astrology. But the way I've really learned is working with so many people and seeing the same parallels keep coming up on same lines or same storylines happen. That's where like I've really learned a ton.
Hmm. And let's keep on this little trend here because I know this is where it really applies to making our life better.
Yeah.
First of all, you're in the best part of astrology at the best time. I'm really excited to watch your career bloom and see you bloom for a lot of personal reasons of your degrees you have that I have, but also I think with like technology and millennials and the younger generations and how much they want to travel, like people have never been more interested in traveling the earth than now. So it's
Yeah.
like, and just like the great migration, like everyone leaving California to go to Texas, Tennessee, and
Yep.
Colorado. Like I've never seen so much migration in my life as an
Yeah.
adult. So it's
Yeah.
like everyone is leaving. I've never seen so many people on Twitter say, I'm leaving this country if so and so is, voted in. So it's
Yeah.
like people want to go roam the earth at this point. With that said, a lot of people can now work remotely. Like that's also another big COVID plus. And a
Yeah.
lot of people have been working, they have stay vacations where they're like working in a tropical environment or whatever. So that said, we're more in a place now to be remote and go work where we thrive professionally in our line. So what what would you look for in the astrocartography for me to thrive in my career?
Yeah, I would look to MC lines. I would look to see when you've got a transit that is activating that 10th house of career as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're, I don't know if you look at annual perfections, but if you've got your
Yep.
10th house, activated that year, I would really go to some MC lines. And also, asking yourself like what is important to you in terms of career. Is it teaching and being an author? I would look to more ninth house teaching, things like that. If it's more 11th house, networking, friends, community, working in maybe having a retreat, I would look to more MC lines when they're relocated to the 11th house of community. So kind of fine tuning, what is the thing that you want to do and going toward that. Is the big one. But MC lines are huge for career exposure, being seen, MC lines for sure.
Interesting. And any planet recommendations with the MC line? I mean, is Saturn an obvious one because it rules the 10th, or Jupiter an obvious one because it brings fortune, or
Yeah, Saturn MC places can be a bit harder for people because there's a sense of like a lot of work, a lot of responsibility, a lot of authority, which can be helpful depending on what you're doing, but they can feel more like a drain or more tired. I find the ones that people really have a lot of success on are surprisingly Mars MC. That's a big one I see a lot of success on. Um, Let's see, I'm thinking of the top. Oh, Venus MC for artists, like a designer, interior designer, fashion, people who work in fashion, people who work in the arts and music. I find Venus MC lines are big for that. And then the Sun MC is really great for promotion, launching things, being seen, exposure. The Moon MC I find is really good for kind of connecting with people, relationships, groups of people, others. That kind of heart leading the way energy I find is really big with the Moon MC. Writing, of course, I would look to Mercury lines, Jupiter lines as well. Jupiter and Mercury are going to be the big writing places. And especially if you look at those parents, that will show you what latitude to go to. So for instance, if you have a Jupiter Mercury parent, that blend of Jupiter Mercury, going to that parent or a Mercury node or a Jupiter node, that can be really helpful for writing a book, for example.
those are my questions actually. And it's the Bahamas for me. Boo
Ooh.
hoo. I don't have any writing done, but I looked at it. It's like, it looks like the center of the Bahamas is where I have my Mercury and Jupiter. And I think it's
Love it.
Mercury midheaven and Jupiter, Jupiter descendant.
Nice. Ooh, publisher. Jupiter
That could
Descent.
be. Yeah.
Yeah, a
That's what I was
publisher.
thinking. Like, or yeah, I could find the publisher. Like maybe they're vacating at the same resort. I don't know.
Yeah, or or
Um,
or even if you even if you measure it, could be you're there and you're connecting with people while you're there, like maybe you're reaching out to people while you're in that area and there's more luck and support for that.
yeah, I mean, I'm a person I think it's our 21 moon. I mean, I'm a degree expert if you didn't notice, but like,
Oh, no, I don't know too much about degrees actually. So that's really
it's
cool.
my whole thing. So Jupiter 21's a Jupiter degree because it adds to a 3. So I love people. Like having a
Wow.
conversation with a person at a bar anywhere. Like I don't care where I am. I'm like talking to everybody. I'm talking to the staff. I'm talking to the kitchen, you know.
Yes.
So it inspires me anyways to write. I mean, I
Wow.
can see where that would inspire me. I would get a lot of good conversation there.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so I was going to ask you, so Mercury midheaven would be good for writing something that's
Oh,
important
yeah.
to your legacy.
Absolutely. Effective communication, writing, contracts, anything that's more mental, thought oriented, definitely Mercury lines for sure.
And so how would you time that with transits then? So if just using me as an example,
Yeah.
would you wait for my Jupiter, would I wait for a Mercury or Jupiter placement itself that's optimum if possible? Like what would you look for? Mercury
Yeah.
in my 10th literally or
I would look to yeah, I mean Mercury moves so quickly, so you could
yeah,
do
it
like
does.
transit, but like progressions too. Like I just had a client a couple days ago that has a Mercury progression in her 10th, and she started writing a book recently.
Okay.
Like she's just got really active and like now she's doing it full force, and that Mercury progressed into her 10th. So that's a big thing. And you could use the chart and see the progressions in the transits, or you could use the map and see using cyclocartography, you could see that Mercury progression move across an area. So for instance, let's say the Bahamas, right? You've got was it Mercury on the midheaven?
Yeah, Mercury in the midheaven line, Jupiter on the descendant.
Cool. So let's say you have like a Mercury, you're looking at the relocated chart for the Bahamas and you see, okay, there's the Mercury in the midheaven. Let's say it's in the 10th house. And you pull up the cyclocartography or progressions or transit, whatever you're using. And you can see on the map that that Mercury midheaven progression is applying to the Bahamas or is in the Bahamas at that point. That's a nice time frame for being there to write, get ideas, get inspired, share, reach out to people with that Jupiter descendant. That would be how I would use it, is using the combination of progressions and transits with cyclocartography or looking at that on the relocated chart.
Hmm. And let's just reiterate a relocation chart. Now I know in Astro Gold, or actually no, also in astro.com, which everyone has free access to. Let's use that as an example. They have like a drop down where it's a type of chart, it's a relocation chart. And then you actually have to go to the very bottom of the page and put in whatever relocation place is at the bottom. And then
Mhm.
it'll run a chart. And what it basically does is it makes your birthplace that place, but it also recalculates to the time zones. Is that correct? Is that basically what's happening?
Oh yeah, the time zone will change. Sometimes even the day will change because it's like super far away in the future or whatever.
Now, if you're going to Australia or something, yeah. Like,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, it's like next Tuesday. So basically it's almost if you were born in that place, right? I
Yes.
mean, that's
Yeah.
basically you're running as if you were born in that place based on the time you were born in the place you were born.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's almost like if you took your first breath in the world at the same exact second that you took your first breath in that part of the world, what was the snapshot of that chart? The snapshot of
Okay.
that map. What's happening at that moment when you were born in this part of the world? So you've got a different chart, which is the relocated chart, and you have the maps, which the map is just showing the relocated chart.
It's kind of interesting. I mean, I haven't quite put it together yet. But it feels almost like our soul is one with Mother Earth. Like our
Oh
whole
my
soul's one with Mother Earth. And what you're really looking is like as you turn around Mother Earth, you're actually seeing different parts of your own soul. And if you go to other parts of the earth, you're like visiting your own soul in a different way, it seems like. Is that how you
God.
see it?
Completely how I see it. I love that you brought this up because that's like one of my favorite things about astrocartography is the fact that like we are existing simultaneously everywhere all at once. Like
Right.
always. We're
Right.
everywhere
Yes.
Our
I
consciousness
am.
is literally everywhere, and we can experience different aspects of consciousness in different parts of the world. So cool. It's my favorite thing about astrocartography.
I see you lighting up. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really fascinating. So for a relocation chart, um, is that temporary? I mean, so how would you use that practically? Obviously, if I'm going to move. So I did a relocation chart to Austin. It showed to be hard. I went anyway. I didn't look at it. So do you look at it for a move, or would you want a relocation chart for vacation?
I look at a relocation chart for a vacation for sure, but it's more for moves because it's like that new chart starts to tell a story over time. So like if someone's just going somewhere for a weekend, I mean, I'll look it up and see what's going on, but it's really the lines that I'm really paying attention to and the transits for that weekend in that area.
Mm-hmm.
But if someone were contemplating a move, that's when it's like, oh no, we got to pull up the relocated chart because we need to see how your story is going to shift and like different areas of your life are going to shift. Friendship, money, love, home, like all of these different things. There's going to be a new story. I kind of think of it as like an overlay. Like it's like a second layer of your story that's being activated in a new part of the world. So you're still you're still your chart. That's still the blueprint of who you are. But now we're getting this new perspective of seeing and experiencing things slightly differently.
Yeah, I mean, here in Denver, I became a Cancer rising.
Yeah.
So, and I'm a Leo rising. So I'm a lot less shiny out here, and I'm
Yes.
a lot more moody.
Yeah. Oh my
I don't know
God.
if I like it, but what's weird is I'm a progressed Cancer now. So I
Uh-huh.
end up moving. So I end up becoming my progressed sun sign in my
Uh-huh.
rising. So it's an interesting how it kind of twists and turns like that.
Yeah.
And of course, your transits all change too. So I mean, I guess when you move, it's not just how your chart changes, but the fact that now Saturn's heading for your first, or
Yeah.
that you're about to. You can almost like accidentally do a double transit if you moved in the right place, right? Where
I
you'd be like, I just went through
completely
Saturn the 12th, and mother F, I'm doing Saturn the 12th again.
I know. And this is something I'm exploring, experimenting with now because I ask a lot of my clients when I'm doing like transit readings, are you experiencing Saturn with money or are you experiencing Saturn on your physical body and your sense of self? And I'll ask this question like to understand like are they the relocated chart or are they the natal chart? What are they experiencing more of? If someone has
Okay.
lived in a place for a long period of time, it's often the relocated chart. Like I'm looking at least 3 years at the relocated chart because, and I've noticed this in my own life too. Like I'm experiencing more transits in France. I'm experiencing Saturn on my ascendant, not Saturn in my fifth, like I have natally. So, it's really interesting, and that's why I like moving when I've got really hard transits in difficult parts of the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Saturn 11 is a 11's a Virgo degree, so
Yeah,
you can be a little sticky that way with your Saturn, a little
yeah,
anal retentive, I imagine.
yeah,
So
yeah.
moving Saturn to your Senate makes a little bit more. What's your rising in Los Angeles? Is it the same?
Yeah, I'm Scorpio rising versus Pisces rising in France. So
Oh,
different,
wow.
different energy, completely different energy.
I'm convinced you were a nun in France.
Really?
Yeah, I'm convinced.
Yeah,
Actually, that picked up psychically when I read your chart. But the
I
more I
love
hear
it.
about it, like because it becomes your identity there. Your
Yeah,
Pisces, your Saturn and Pisces becomes your identity in France. That's
yeah,
fascinating.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
Do you
Wow.
find yourself be a little more Puritan, maybe scooting away from the husband at that time?
No, actually, not at all. Actually, I would say, you know what I think of? I think of as like discipline, like getting more serious about like health and routines and like being consistent about like wellness and what I'm doing every day. Like that consistency and stepping into maturity of responsibility. That's a big thing that happened for me in France for sure.
Now, you brought up something in Chris Brennan's broadcast that I thought was brilliant, and I recommend everyone watch that podcast too, as all Chris's work is brilliant and deep.
Yeah.
You were talking about like presidents in warfare at one point,
Yeah.
where you
Yeah.
were saying, what was it? Was it Truman and the bomb? Would you elaborate a little bit on that for us?
Yeah, yeah. So there are different points in the world, like assassinations are big, for example, with Pluto lines with presidents. So
Okay.
Pluto lines, I think it was JFK.
Kennedy, you said. Yeah.
Kennedy had a Pluto line where he was assassinated. Truman, the Nagasaki bomb was a big one. That was, I think, a Mars Pluto, if I'm mistaken. I think it's Mars Pluto in that area where the bomb was dropped. And so when we look back at history, we can see correlations between like presidents, and when a president becomes, when someone steps into power, like presidency in the United States, it's almost like their chart, their map is really important for the country, for the whole nation, because and when we look at those Mars lines, Mars rules war, violence, aggression, confrontation, combat. Pluto can be death and assassinations. There's a lot of consistencies with things that have happened in history with presidents versus their lines that those presidents have in different parts of the world.
So because you're a fast talker like me.
Yeah.
So Truman, who dropped the bomb, for those who don't know by chance, like it was actually his decision, his Mars and Pluto line was near where the bomb was dropped.
Yes. I think it's Mars and Pluto, or it's Saturn and Pluto. It's one of the two, but the bomb was dropped right where those points are crossing over there. Yeah.
So, wow, that is fascinating. I wonder how much he had. That's so interesting.
Yeah.
So it's really where shift hits the fan in his life and he dropped the bomb there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe this is a good strategy to bomb our lines.
Yeah. And there's a great book on this called The Psychology of Astrocartography by Jim Lewis. He has a whole chapter on presidents, and a lot of people like people in history where there's been like violence or war or those types of things, big with Mars lines and Pluto lines specifically.
And you mentioned, and which made me a little worried because I'm on my Pluto line, that JFK's Pluto line went through Dallas.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that Pluto is death and rebirth. So, and I don't know if you know this, but Gene Dixon was his astrologer, him and Jackie O's astrologer.
Oh, wow.
And she warned him not to go to Dallas. I wonder if she was looking at the astrocartography or if it was too early because it was the 50s. I don't know. Maybe relocation astrology she used.
Yeah, she was probably using relocation astrology because relocated charts have been around for like so long. People have been using it for forever, but the maps didn't come out into the 70s. So she was probably looking at his relocated chart. And if she was looking at Dallas, that would have put Pluto right on that angle.
Got you. I always wondered how astrologers warned not to go to locations before.
Yeah.
So this brings a lot of interesting. And you have a couple of, we're going to talk about your YouTube channel, which is great, by the way. She has so much fun. She's always this bubbly, you guys, always.
Yeah. I am.
It never turns off.
I'll like always.
Anyway, you have a couple of videos that have just like done super well, where you actually look at Biden and Trump and astrocartography and basically the election. And I don't want to paraphrase, but it's like, you were just showing, and again, she doesn't pick any sides, folks. We just have to say as astrologers, we don't pick sides. We pick planets.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
People get so upset if I bring up someone's name or something. I'm like, I'm not saying I'm voting for him.
I know. In my video, I was like so neutral. I was like, we're just looking at this objectively. We're looking at the patterns, the correlations. I'm just the messenger. That's all I am. And all these people are like, you're for this. And I'm like, no. I'm just saying. But yeah, like Trump, he has a Mars ascendant line going right through DC, like super close to DC. There's going to be an eclipse coming up that's going right through the northeast of the United States. Really interesting.
In Aries at 19 degrees, conjunct Chiron in the nodes. That looks like, well, and what's interesting is you're saying, I mean, we were joking in our staff. You also talked about Biden. It looks like he may have, a health issue or something going on in Aries. Is that what you said? Like around that eclipse? Yeah. And we were joking that he'd probably fall down the stairs and die, because that's what he tends to do. But again, I'm not pro against Biden, but there's a video out there. I'm telling you, as an astrologer, it's a real risk. He can fall down the stairs with the solar eclipse in Aries. Like, Secret Service, get behind him.
Yes, I know. All the presidents need to have astrologers on their teams.
They do. I agree. I totally agree.
Them. Absolutely. I mean, I was looking at, I think Harris, there's going to be some sort of responsibility that I think she's taking more of when we get into April, with that Jupiter-Uranus conjunction and the eclipse and all.
You mentioned that too, Kamala Harris. Like her responsibility seems to go up in April.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I think she's going to be taking on a lot more because she's going through, I think her activated Lord is in the 12th, which rules her 10th house of career. So there's something going on behind the scenes that's activating more authority and responsibility in her work because I think she has Saturn transiting through her 10th of career. So
Right
yeah,
now, she has Pisces in her 10th. Okay.
yeah,
That's interesting. Huh.
I-
Huh.
yeah,
That's really interesting. And it makes sense. I mean, it seemed like Trump, again, objectively looking, like he seems to be a lot more aggressive in DC than he does
yeah,
anywhere else. Like I see
yeah,
that Mars line in DC.
yeah,
Like he becomes kind of like a warrior, kind of a almost uncomfortable. And it's
totally.
like, oh, so Mars on the ascendant makes total sense.
Yeah,
I wonder, have you looked at Mar-a-Lago? Is that like, I don't, where his line is there? I'm curious about that. Like,
yeah. Oh gosh, I don't think I looked at it too closely. I don't remember if I have looked at it, but
I
yeah.
mean,
Well,
yeah.
that Mars line, if it's going down, he still has some of that. I think if I remember correctly, he's got really nice parents in Mar-a-Lago, like really joyful. I think it was something like Moon Jupiter or something Jupiter, like happiness
Okay.
in the Mar-a-Lago, like latitude specifically. Um, but yeah, I remember that he's very happy in that area from what I've seen.
I would imagine that's the case.
Yeah.
But yeah. And does Mars ever turn into violence? Like, is that something we should like Mars, Pluto, maybe like something would be a dangerous city? Like, as far
Yeah.
as what to avoid. Yeah.
Yeah, the ones I always avoid are like Mars Pluto crossings. So like if you've got a Mars line and a Pluto line and they're crossing in a part of the world, I wouldn't want to go to places where Mars, crosses Pluto because there can be violence, there can be aggression, there can be war, violence, or just confrontation. It can also be, thinking about the scale of things. It could be as extreme as violence. It could also be, on a lesser extreme of like just fighting, arguments, breakups happen a lot for people on Mars descendant lines. Tends to be a lot of breakups of marriages and fighting and things that happen when Mars is on the descendant in a certain part of the world.
Interesting. Yeah, I would think it's like a skull and crossbones, or even just having your wallet stolen while you're on your vacation, Mars,
Yeah.
Pluto.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
Mars would be aggressive and Pluto would be loss or theft.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
avoid Mars, Pluto, skull and crossbones. What
Yeah.
about Jackass Island, where people just go crazy and do too much cocaine or something stupid? What would be
What
probably
would
like
be
Mars,
that?
Jupiter going too far, maybe?
Oh
Or
yeah, Mars, Jupiter is going too far. Also Neptune ascendant. I find a lot of people have drug issues with Neptune on the ascendant in those areas. Neptune, Jupiter is a big one for that. Spending money, I think of Venus, Jupiter parens, so latitudes where you've got Venus, Jupiter that can be overspending or overindulgence, also with Moon, Jupiter. Moon, Jupiter, and Jupiter, Venus that were very pleasant. We're very happy places, but there can be like overdoing things.
mm-hmm.
Trying to
Too
think of
pleasure
other.
seeking.
Yeah.
And maybe it came to mind when I was watching one of your videos. It's like if you are having addiction problems, like maybe you should move to your Saturn line.
Yes.
Like maybe you should
Exactly.
move to your Pluto line. Like my life was when I moved to my Pluto line, at first it exposed everything I was hiding from myself. So it was
Mhm.
hell. But
Yeah.
then it created this incredible security, which is now like Pluto's black and white, I find, like, it's nothing and then everything at all. And so I found Pluto to be really hard at first, but I have Scorpio in my fourth in my natal chart.
Mhm.
So well, no, you don't. You have Pisces in the fourth. Don't you? Yeah, I have a Leo rising, but we have the same moon. But yeah, so I end up feeling more at home along my Pluto line than I thought. But when I first got here, I'm like, it was like like a frog slowly boiling in water. I was like, get me out of here. I
Yeah.
kept leaving. I moved from LA to Denver, and LA is my north node. And I don't know that. I'm sorry, I don't know which of the points, but my north node is in Capricorn in my fifth house natally. So I was going
Cool.
after my dreams when I went to LA. I want to be a film
Yeah.
star. I want to be a
Yeah.
filmmaker rather.
Yeah.
And then, shifted the fan and I went running to Denver. And then I would get so uncomfortable. I'd fly back to LA and stay there for 2 months. And then I go back to Denver and then fly back. I was going back and forth from my Pluto and North node line. It took a long
Yes.
time to sit in the Pluto, just putting it out
Totally.
there. Yeah.
Totally. And Pluto, I think of also as, some people feel really drawn to Pluto lines. Pluto, I see as a big one that people frequently feel it a pull to. I think of, stepping into power, letting go, shifting, moving into new energy, metaphorical death of the self and rebirth of the new, going through transformation. I find a lot of people who are very successful are on Pluto MC lines. Like they have a lot of like, there's a powerful role that they have for the collective. I wonder if you're living on your Pluto MC line because there's a sense of like leadership in groups or for the others, for people, for the collective. Pluto MC line psychology, right? Like helping people psychologically. I wonder if you're on your Pluto MC line, but that's a successful one I see for a lot of people.
Interesting. And it's funny because Chris Brennan's is a Scorpio with Aquarius rising, Aquarius moon. I'm a Taurus
Yeah.
with a Leo rising, Leo room. So he's like my bizarro self.
Yes.
And we're both on the
Yes.
same line. So I wonder if we're both on the Pluto line. I'll have to
Yeah.
ask him. That's really funny. What about Chiron? Have you paid a lot of attention to Chiron? Because I've started to find as an astrologer that Chiron dictates so much. This is, of course, post my Chiron return.
Yeah.
But I realized that Chiron plays such a silent role in our life. Like it's really what we're running away from, what we're afraid of, our worst case scenario kind of thing. Have you flirted with your Chiron at all? What's been your experience?
Yeah, I've been to my Chiron line, and that was a place, and that was really before I got super deep into astrocartography. I'd played with it, but I haven't like been like always thinking about it like I do now. But when I went to my Chiron line, it was like all these wounds from childhood, from things that happened to me on the playground, things that happened to me as a kid, just resurfaced out of nowhere, completely out of nowhere. And I had to like deal with that and like sit with that and meditate and journal and do subconscious reprogramming and hypnosis work to heal that. But that was a place in the world where that just came out of nowhere, like a repressed memories coming out. And so that was a Chiron IC line, I believe. Yeah, Chiron IC. No, Chiron descendant. So it was a Chiron descendant line.
Well, that
But
makes sense, especially with yourself, like issues with yourself. Because I look at the
yeah,
descendant line first is how we approach ourself. I call it the me ridge. It's how we're married to ourself for life.
yeah,
That makes a lot of sense. I'm going to have to dig deeper now after this. Someone in
yeah.
our chat is asking, what if you're not in a position to move? How can you best deal with that? Is there any kind of a hack to this?
Yeah. Well, first off, I would say one, use local space. Local space is a technique where you could put the local space lines, which is a different type of locational astrology. It's a different system, but it still works great for local areas. So you could travel to lines. So you place it from where you are right now, your set town or city, and you can see like, where's my Venus line going? Oh, it's going through that neighborhood or that little community over there, that coffee shop, that gym, the Mars is going to the gym over in this neighborhood. So you can use the local space to see local places to travel to or to spend time in from where you're living. Another recommendation is moving 30 minutes south, 30 minutes north, just getting off of a difficult parent if you are on one. That I find significantly changes the energy for people because those parents are so important and you can feel the energy dramatically. Just moving 30 miles north, will really shift that and like decrease that energy by like 50%. So that's another one. And then the other way is let's say you've got a beautiful Venus line in Hawaii, and you want to connect with the more arts or creativity or inspiration or that kind of energy. You could watch YouTube videos or vlogs or movies that are based in Hawaii or set in Hawaii. So it's like you're getting that energy of that place and connecting with that place in your day-to-day life without actually moving there. Is it still the most best thing that you could do would be to move? Yes. But if you can't move, just connecting with those places in the world where you have a lot of support can be just nice ways to infuse that into your everyday.
Wow, brilliant. So with the local lines, I did see that. I didn't quite understand it. And for those who haven't seen it, it's another like astro.com has it for free right now. You can go there and geek out if you want to. It's like a different selection. In astro.com, you have like AstroClick Travels, what I think they call it, and they call it Astro Local.
Yeah.
And so it's weird. It's like X marks the spot of your birth, and then it has like your birth, like my hospital's the center, and then it has basically the chart is going off on all these lines. And those are all the planet lines from your place of birth. Is that correct? It's not like houses.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
have you played with that? Like, do you have coffee in your fourth house and local and stuff like that? Okay.
I'm doing that right now. I'm actually making a video and exploring that right now of like going to neighborhoods where I have lines going through certain streets, certain buildings in West Hollywood, certain areas, and I'm testing it and trialing it now. But I do find that, yeah, and that's a cool way to like, some people, there are locational astrologers that specialize in feng shui. So like designing your home, like putting like, oh yeah, there's
head just blew on that
like,
idea.
I know locational astrology, there's so many ways you can use this. Like there's so many different niches within locational astrology that you can use this, but like feng shui, it's like designing your home. Like the moon Sun line could go where the dining room table is, where you eat your food. The Mars line can be where you work out, or Mercury can be where the desk is to work. Venus line can be where you get ready for the day. You know, there's different, like, you could literally design your home where the directions of the planets are going in different parts of your house. But you could also do this for your neighborhood, your town, your city, and seeing exact streets and buildings that are really nice for different things.
Wow, this gets really deep. I love it.
I know. I know.
You could literally have an app where you're walking around the house going, no, yes, 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 no. Like you could literally, that's
I love
crazy.
that.
That's so interesting. And here's another question that came in mind when you were talking is there a difference between east or west of the line? So like I've had locations where I'm in the middle and like one line is like 50 miles this way and one line is 50 miles that way. So what's the difference between being on the east or west or north or south of a line?
Yeah. So with the main planetary lines, the astrocartography lines, Jim Lewis always said west was best, or that's what a lot of people say, west is best.
West is best. I think so. I've always been more
Yeah.
westerly. Yeah.
Yeah, because when you move west, you get that planet more angular, whereas when you move east, it's not as angular as if you move just off of that line west. The other thing, though, I have heard is that it's kind of like, because when you're using like transits or timing and you're looking at the map and you can see the lines crisscrossing, going across the place, right? As each day goes on, as the line is applying to you and coming toward you from west to east, it's moving west to east. As it's applying, it's strongest, and then it's strongest when it's right on the point, and then it starts fading. So that transit is fading as it moves away more east. So that's another way you could think of it as well, is it's the most powerful, most strong when you're right on the line or it's applying to you. But I find going west of a line is better, just because it puts it more in angular spot, which is more active.
So the sun moves from east to west, but the planets move from west to east. Is that correct? The lines move from west to east?
Yeah, I'm just thinking like visually the map. When you're looking at the transits, the lines always move west to east.
So from California to DC, like, so
Yeah.
basically, okay.
Except when it retrogrades. When planets retrograde, it will go back.
Wow. Okay. I love
So
how
you'll
astrology
see
is always
it.
back.
Yeah, so you'll see it on the map. It'll like, you'll put like move forward with time and it'll go across, and then it'll go retrograde, it'll stall, and then it'll go backwards. So it'll like go over an area.
Wow. It's like a
Yeah.
laser. So
Yeah.
when you say west is best,
Mhm.
you're saying when the line is east of me,
Mhm.
it's best.
Yeah.
When it's past me, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
When you're west of a line, it's
It's
best
best.
angular. Yeah.
Okay. You're west of a line. Okay. Yeah. That can get complicated.
I know.
Does north or south matter? Like,
No, what really matters is latitude. And that's why like
okay.
parents are such a big deal. And like, you got to look at the parents. Everyone's got to look at the parents, because if you move 30 miles north, that can significantly change the energy from going 30 miles south. So when we're talking about north and south, it's so important to look at the parents or the latitude crossings. And you can see that for free too, like on astro.com. If you click on the right-hand side, there's like a show details section, and you could check that box and it'll show you the exact latitude crossings. It just doesn't show them visually. So you can't really measure the distance with like a measuring tool like you can with solar fire.
Wow, very interesting. So that's really fascinating, I have to say, in all regards. So many people are super interested in what your work is, and I think we could talk forever here about this.
I know, it's
Let's
so cool.
talk. Your website is helenawoods.com. We'll put that up there. Where should someone start in your stuff? You do have a free offer for the guide for the top mistakes and solutions to understanding your map of the world.
Yeah.
And that's in helenawoods.com/astro guide. We're putting up that link right now. So
Yeah.
people can start there, but tell us about your offerings.
Yeah.
What do you offer as far as services are concerned?
Yeah. And it's Helena Woods. And I don't mean to correct you.
I'm sorry.
It's
sorry.
okay.
It's Helena.
It's okay.
Forgive me.
It's totally okay. It's totally okay. I just had
No,
to
no,
say.
no. I was going to ask before and I forgot. And I just was
no
like, I
worries.
so apologize.
Yeah. No, it's okay.
Helena.
So, yeah. So, you can find me at, on Instagram at Ms. Helena Woods, MS Helena Woods, YouTube, Astro Cartography with Helena. I do vlogs once a week. teaching, talking about the lines, experiences I'm going through. I'm making a video right now on local space and going to different neighborhoods with these lines that I've got in West Hollywood. So I'm exploring that right now. And then, yeah, I have a free guide on the top mistakes that people tend to make with astrocartography. You can get that on my website. I have blog posts, I have courses. I have a beginner's mapping course and a main 7-week intensive locational astrology course there as well, with like a community and lots of calls and live streams. A book club. We're reading our book club of the month. Our book of the month is Geodetic Astrology by Chris McRae.
Oh, cool.
Reading for World Affairs or World Affairs. So yeah, it's really fun. I'm doing lots of different things. And yeah, I'm making a new like astrocartography cheat sheet so you can read the meanings of all the lines with all the angles. That'll be coming out in a few days on my website and Instagram. So if you want to get that, it'll be free and available in a few days.
Yay. And then how does one approach a reading? Is that something for someone who wants to relocate, or
Yeah.
what is the main reason for purchase? Is it just relocation? Is it vacation? Is it helping you to maximize the local map, the whole 9 yards?
Yeah, it's for vacations. If you want to know the best places to travel to go on for a trip, to time a trip, if you wanted to look at the best timing for a certain week or month. We can also look at relocation if you wanted to move as well. So I have clients that do both. And yeah, so I do readings as well. And you can find that on my website.
Terrific. And what are your plans, if you don't mind letting us know? Are you gonna stay in LA for a while, or?
Yeah, so I'm here for a month. And I'm just seeing what this Jupiter transit plays out. I will say LA is a little too hectic for me. It's a little too busy. So I do think I want to move after the month is up. And then from there, I'm just flowing. I'm just spontaneously letting my intuition guide me to where to go next. And I'm also looking at the transits and the progressions to see what's being activated in certain parts of the world. Australia looks really good right now for me, but my heart doesn't feel called to go there. And that's why I always like to tell people, make sure you're listening to your inner voice and your intuition as well, because even if you've got a cool transit, if your heart's not in it, don't go, like I've always that balance of looking at the chart and listening to yourself. So yeah, I'm here for a month and I'm just traveling to the world to all my different lines and experiencing and documenting it for people.
Yay. What an exciting life you have. I'm going to be watching you and watching on social media. And see, it's going to be Where in the World is Helena Woods. We're going to find out.
I love that. It's so fun.
We should have like some sort of an app marker for where you happen to be.
I know.
But to wrap this up, you say you navigate by where you feel pulled instinctively, and then you use the astrology to affirm or figure out why you're being pulled that direction.
Yes. I always honor intuition first. Astrology,
me too.
Always second.
Me too.
My inner, your inner voice is always telling you where to go. It's always pulling you. And what I usually do is I'll get my journal out and I'll meditate and I'll sit with that and I'll write down a list of 3 places that my heart is yearning to go in that direction. And then from there, those 3 places, I will then look at the transits and the progressions and I'll see, okay, what line is it on? Oh, it's on it. That's the parent it's on. Okay, that's nice. Oh, there's a transit that's applying to that line in that part of the world. That's the spot. And so I look at intuition first to get the main feel or the main places. And then I look at transits and progressions from there.
Brilliant. Yeah. I have a lot of people who are asking me, like my own clients. I'm very grateful for you being so generous with your time and your energy.
Oh, of course.
A lot of people are looking to move right now. A lot. And a lot of my clients, and you all know how backed up I am. So Helena is the way to go.
I knew this would happen. I knew this would happen a year and a half ago. I was telling everyone on Instagram, get ready, 2024, 2025, everyone's going to want to move. Everyone's going to want to move. And it's like clockwork. It's like crazy.
Yeah. I think it's sort of, I don't think there's disaster, but I do think it's sort of like, maybe a pull to leave Atlantis before it sank. Like, I think people are feeling this like pull to leave areas and they don't know what it is. And
totally. We're all collectively feeling it intuitively. I absolutely believe that.
Yeah. Are you noticing any trends? I know I'm pulling out this interview. Are you noticing trends other than what's obvious? Like a lot of people going to Tennessee, a lot of people going to Texas.
Yeah. Everyone's going to specific, what was the area? It's South Carolina, and the Carolinas are big. But inland Carolinas. Texas is big, Tennessee is big, Oregon is big, Idaho is a big one. big one.
Yes,
Oh,
I
yeah,
noticed that.
random, but
What the
everyone's
hell's going on in Idaho?
I know, I don't know. And everyone's leaving California.
Yes.
Everyone's and New York, like California, New York, everyone's leaving and wanting to go somewhere else.
It makes me a little concerned. I mean,
Yeah.
because it's almost like, the coasts are in danger or something, but there is this, especially California. I mean,
Yeah.
there's always been the weird fear that California would sink in the ocean, and I've never seen so many people leaving at the same time. So,
I know.
yes.
And that's why I'm exploring geodetic astrology right now, because I want to learn more about like climate change and how it affects people in parts of the world. And that's where you could pull up geodetic lines on your map as well to see that. But this book I'm reading at the moment, it's really interesting. But just learning more about how climate and political uprisings and world events also shape our experience in regards to place, and how we can use this to navigate those experiences, but also put ourselves in better places where we don't have more difficult experiences in regards to outside experiences.
Okay, fascinating.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a divine pleasure here. Everyone go to helenawoods.com. Would you mind staying backstage for a couple of minutes so we can
Oh,
chat
of
after the
course.
show? Okay,
Absolutely. Yeah.
that'd be awesome. I want to catch up and say a couple things. And thank you so much, everyone. We look forward to working with you again. You'll have to come in and report in from somewhere in the
Oh,
world in the
yeah.
future.
Definitely. Lots to share.
Okay, awesome. We'll see you then. I'll see you in a couple minutes. Thanks,
Yeah.
Helena.
Bye.
Awesome. Yay. Oh my God. And with her name, I'm so embarrassed. My God. My mind kept going back and forth on it, and I couldn't go back to the video to figure it out. But thank you to Helena Woods. She is just a little fairy, bright little fairy, isn't she? So bright and full of life. That was a great time. Y'all check out her website, check out her videos. She's fantastic. And she's not even Saturn return yet. So like we have just seen the beginning of this rising star. I have a feeling she's going to be a household name at some point. Seriously. So thank you, Helena Woods, for coming on. Just a reminder, 4 Hours of Goodness, the Countdown 2024 webinar is available for immediate viewing at senseiChristopher.com. By the way, while you're there, I do have a Trailblazing 2024 webinar coming up on the second Saturday of February. We're going to be talking about how to help people trailblaze their career. It'll be a very intense webinar about trailblazing, how to really get your career going. We're going to focus on specifics of astrology, specifics of the transits this year, timing and whatnot. But also the footprint is obviously the countdown to 2024. But if you want to see me in another live webinar, it's coming up in February, Trailblazing 2024 at senseiChristopher.com. But of course, my home, my Venus IC line is SeriousJoy.com. Our life's work. We have a phenomenal team at SeriousJoy.com. We're here to help you. We are, I believe, the most accurate astrology service, especially for personal timing. That's our expertise. And the proprietary Steps astrology algorithm, which is the most personal and effective life coaching on the planet. You can see people talking about our service right here in the chat. And we have some great things coming up. We're going to have a new video to prepare for the next new moon with Joe Zammit coming up here Wednesday or Thursday, going live, a new moon in Aquarius prep video. We also have live the Golden Egg Project, Manifesting Magic. I did a Golden Egg video and project. I brought 3 subscribers online. We all worked together to work through their charts, work through their hangups, focus on their personal dreams, and come up with a plan. It's a great show. It is about 90 minutes, almost 2 hours, and it's live. Just click Soul Support Groups on SeriousJoy.com to watch that. This week, it's a new addition to Serious Joy, the Golden Mega Monthly Address. The Golden Mega Monthly Address. So this is a hybrid. This is new age innovation. I'm going to walk through the whole month and give you a preview of the month to come. But I'm going to do it from the perspective of manifestation specifically. So we're going to focus on manifesting and the month ahead. And this is because I'm convinced this is going to be a very potent year for manifestation, with Jupiter blazing through Taurus, with Uranus hitting up to step 27 Taurus. This is such a fertile year for manifestation. So the Golden Mega Monthly Address is really about manifesting your golden egg and addressing those concerns. That will be live on SeriousJoy.com this Wednesday, the 31st at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. Be there or be squared. I mean, squared as in a square between 2 planets. Sharing is caring, by the way. Thank you for sharing us with your friends and family. Remember, the The horoscopes go live on Tuesday. So we cut out the horoscopes out of this show. We put them on YouTube. The best thing to do is to share us with a friend or family, share your horoscope or their rising scope with them and help them out. That's like a 3-minute video. It's a good way to introduce us. We do accept donations. If you want to donate, it's at paypal.me/Sensei Christopher. We have a Facebook group at seriousjoy.club. This is where we all rub elbows. You're allowed to advertise if you have a spiritual service or business, because we do want to help the spiritual community grow. We have a human design study group with live videos every week. We have inspiring architecture pictures that we put up, live streaming readings, and really some of the most loving people on the planet, and it's free, seriousjoy.club. If you want to follow us on any of the Serious Joy media, I do put out a Zodiac Weather 7 days a week that gives you a free reading. I post it on YouTube, I post it on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, everywhere. But for all our links, go to seriousjoy.social. And if you would rather listen instead of watch, which many people do, some people tell me they take me with them on hikes, they take me on car drives, they take me to their shower. I'm always honored. I'm available at Spotify, Stitcher, and Apple Podcasts. I want to say special thanks to our producer, Noel Way. Thank you to our director, Sarah Lyman, my teaching staff, Robbie Hunt, Kristen Ryder, Devin Dewar, Joe Zammett, and Heather Exposito. And a very special thanks to all of our super friends, the amazing Iggy, Neptune Girl, Margot Malia, my soul brother, Daryl Blankenship, Kat Ryder, the Michelles, known as Michelle Camper, Michelle Bell, Erica with a K, Experimental Elemental, Lori Ship, Nikki Anderson, Libran Lauren, and whoever enters into the mix. So we're kind of tracking the one. Sydney Aaron is the last one I want to say. Thank you, Sydney, as well. We appreciate all of you for showing up and being a part of our live event. We'll be back in 1 week from today, where shift will hit the fan. It'll be Grandmaster Step 13 Aquarius. Until then, I am so grateful to be a part of your life. Thank you for tuning in every week. I love you. Live, love, be.
It's serious joy.